Hollywood's new century. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 126, A Sword. Don't worry, Sonia, this kind of thing is in a circle, I have a sense of it. Simon nodded and continued, I want you to fully support Sharon Waxman's investigation. Some petty molestations will not work. It's better to have more female stars testify against Harvey Weinstein. Only more people, only then can we get the support and sympathy of public opinion, and if there are fewer people, Harvey's lawyers will solve it privately one by one. Oh, like this, that's fine. Sonia Roman nodded helplessly. Sonia, it is imperative for Xinghai Entertainment to establish a distribution network. Now the North American film market is so big, and the 6 major cakes are all extended to overseas markets. In the independent film industry, Miramax's reputation was too big. Now Weinstein Pictures wanted to return to the status of Miramax. Xinghai Pictures started late, and the pressure in all aspects is relatively large. Only in the independent film industry can we establish our own advantages first, so that we can survive in the cracks. In the future, to become a strong contender with the 6 majors, Xinghai Entertainment must become the only king of independent films. Simon is really lacking in background now. Miramax was really famous before. The Weinstein brothers are a big mountain of independent films. If we don't move this mountain, how will we reach the top, Simon? I mean, if Harvey Weinstein falls in the upper echelon of Hollywood, it will involve a large number of upper echelons of Hollywood, and the vested interests will allow this to happen? Sonia Roman said again. Anyway, this kind of thing is still understandable. Simon nodded and responded, of course there will be a lot of resistance. If Harvey Weinstein is really exposed, it will expose the blemishes of Hollywood to the public, and the impact involved is indeed quite large. However, the downfall of a group of vested interests is facing the rise of another group of vested interests. If it is not broken, it will not stand. Hollywood has been stable for many years, and there is no chaos. How can a new group of vested interests be generated? Sonia Roman looked at Simon Pike in surprise. The messier the better. This year is the year of the presidential election. Hollywood is already the stronghold of the Democratic Party. Harvey Weinstein and the current Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton have a good relationship, right? Don't look at me that way, we are just one of the latecomers. Relativity Entertainment, Legendary Entertainment, Kingdom Entertainment, these new investment-oriented film and television companies all hope to break the monopoly, strive for their own interests, and cooperate with the 6 major companies, their right to speak. It's not important. What Simon hasn't said is that in an election year, this kind of thing can give people a daydream. In the election year, some scandals in Hollywood broke out, which can be regarded as a distraction for Hollywood, and the supporters of the Republican Party will also fan the flames. Next year is really a good opportunity. Okay, I will keep in touch with Sharon Waxman. This kind of breaking news is still very attractive. Sonia Roman also nodded. After all, Sharon Waxman would consider the consequences. She just knew that this kind of news would make her famous. It seems that this guy has really harmed a lot of women these years, Simon said, curling his lips. Of course you are such a big man, it's no problem to sleep with a few female stars. But if you use a strong way, the plot is different, right, Simon? This matter should still be carried out by the reporters. We are also part of Hollywood. As long as the unspoken rules of Hollywood are not on the table, they can be ignored, Sonia Roman explained. After all, many people in Hollywood are aware of Ernstein's situation, but it's not obvious. Who would care about such a thing? Now, Xinghai Entertainment is also trying the same situation. It is the result of their own investigation by reporters. The United States has freedom of speech, and Xinghai Entertainment only helps American citizens to express their own opinions, of course, and this fire needs to be started first, Simon said, looking at Sonia Roman and smiling. Sonia, you should go to more feminist parties. It's not easy for women in Hollywood. Sonia Roman nodded. Of course she understood what Simon meant. Why did Xinghai Entertainment support Sharon Waxman? Because Xinghai Entertainment is now a friend of feminism, support feminism, sexual assault cases, coupled with feminism fanning the flames, It is best to pull racism and homosexuality on the other side. The current network is not as strong and developed as the future. Mobile phones are not so smart, and the speed of information is still not as fast as the future. The more chaotic the form, the more opportunities and benefits can be obtained from it. The United States is really too comfortable, and every small shooting case is not news. Fortunately, there will be the biggest event next year, the financial tsunami, and there will be a new president. I believe that the attention from Hollywood will be much less in the future. It would be great if we could hold the two heavy swords of racial discrimination and feminism in our hands. Alice, feminism is okay, but racial discrimination is really too big. The white left and black people in the United States are simply too big. Well, take it slow. Sharon Waxman knows what to do anyway. She's done it once, Simon said. Anyway, mainly to entertain Harvey Weinstein, sending not sure about going to jail. I see. Sonia Roman has no objection. Anyway, Simon has become a climate. How far Xinghe Entertainment can go in the future depends on how much energy Simon Ken spends. Seeing that there were two more beautiful servants in Simon's family, Sonia Roman smiled, not knowing why Simon would cooperate with a small Colombian actor model there from Colombian beauty pageants. Simon saw Sonia Roman look at the two Colombian beauties who brought the wine, introduced with a smile. It's good, you're quite alone in such a big house, although you don't seem to live here too much. Sonia Roman laughed. After all, Blake Lively and Emily Brown, the relationship between Ted and Simon is unclear. This style is not my favorite. I will live in a villa with a style I like in the future, Simon said, leaning on the sofa and drinking. It should be, but Nicole Kidman's vision is not bad. The decoration of this place is okay. Sonia Roman was quite satisfied with the style. Do you like it? Simon smiled and then said, next year, you can move in after I move out. You are also working hard for the company, so you should be rewarded. Chapter 127. Zack Snyder. The summer of 2007 was extremely hot. Sony had Spider-Man 3 released, Paramount and DreamWorks had Shrek 3 and the live-action Transformers, Disney had Pirates of the Caribbean 3, at World's End. Warner Brothers also has Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. The blockbuster films released in May include Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, Spider-Man 3 and Shrek 3. The three sequels to the North American box office have exceeded $300 million. Transformers, released in early June, also exceeded $300 million in North America. And Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, released a week later in North America, also reached $290 million. Spartan 300 Warriors, produced by Xinghe Pictures, has a North American box office of $210 million and a global box office of $456 million. No Country for Old Men also exceeded $70 million at the North American box office, and will be released overseas one after another in September. At the end of July, in the banquet hall on the third floor of the Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, Xinghe Entertainment held a grand celebration banquet. Spartan 300 earned more than $200 million at the North American box office, and No Country for Old Men was a hit with both word of mouth and box office. Really, it's too much? This is bigger than the previous celebration of Sony's Spider-Man 3. Simon looked at the crowd in the banquet hall, estimated to be more than 400 people. Boss Nina said that this time our Xinghe Films will hold a glorious event. We have sent invitations to many people in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles, and most of them have come. Laura Collins explained. Simon nodded. Spartan 300, from director Zack Snyder to the cast, mainly British gang, and Simon befriended Australia's Nicole Kidman, and Kate Blanchett and Naomi Watts know each other too, and there are a lot of people from the Australian showbiz. We still have to talk about the box office. Spartan 300 Warriors was too successful. We have another 26 dresses released in November. There should be hope that the North American box office will exceed $350 million this year. Simon also felt honored. After all, now it has nearly $290 million at the North American box office, and 26 dresses only needs to exceed $60 million. Warner Brothers and Paramount are cooperating with themselves now. 20th Century Fox has cooperated several times, but Disney and Sony have never cooperated. Universal's Focus Generation has released Xinghe Pictures' first film, Juno, and as for MGM, it is now controlled by Sony. The 6th Congress has sent high-level officials here. Who did 20th Century Fox send? Simon asked. After all, he had rejected Rupert Murdoch's personal recruitment before Ms. Emma Watts, VP of Fox Pictures. Laura Collins responded quickly. Simon nodded. Originally, he was worried that 20th Century Fox might make a stumbling block in the release of his 26 dresses, It seemed that he was overthinking it. It seemed that they would not be pissed off about such a trivial matter back in the day. Harvey Weinstein's Miramax released European films, and directly suppressed other people's films because the director refused to sign a director contract with him. However, the distribution of independent literary films is not easy to do. After all, most of them are failed products. Steve Spielberg of DreamWorks and Jeffrey Katzenberg of DreamWorks Animation are here. Anyway, all the movies or animations produced by DreamWorks are now distributed by Paramount. The members of the Spartan 300 crew were chatting together. Simon walked over with a glass of wine, raised a glass with director Zack Snyder and laughed. The movie was a success. Thank you, Simon, to be able to adapt this Frank Miller's work. I really want to thank you. Zack Snyder touched the glass with Simon sincerely, and then drank it afterwards. Gerard Butler and Sienna also came over to take pictures with Simon and chat for a while. Zack, Warner Bros.'s new movie Watchmen should be about to start, right? Simon asked about Zack Snyder's next movie plan. Warner Brothers approached Zack Snyder after the filming of Spartan 300 ended last year, and announced earlier this year that he is the director of Watchmen. Zack Snyder nodded and said, it should be launched in September. Warner Brothers has been preparing for a long time, and I have been preparing for more than half a year. Simon looked at Zack Snyder and said, the Watchmen comics are different from ordinary superheroes. Since the 1990s, different people have hoped to adapt them into movies, but they have all given up. For such a comic to tell the story clearly, it is estimated to be 5 hours long. The plot compression is the foundation of this movie. Zack Snyder nodded. Audible. Simon was reminding himself that Warner Brothers wouldn't allow such a long movie into theaters. After all, this is indeed a challenge. I have discussed with the original author of the comic many times. This comic shows a different superhero, condensed into a movie. If the plot cannot be told well, the possibility of failure is very high. Zack Snyder has now caught the attention of many producers and studios because of the good reputation of Spartan 300. Simon reminded Zack Snyder because Simon was really optimistic about Zack Snyder. Movies are a kind of product, and they need to make a trade-off between business and art. Just have confidence, and I'm very optimistic about your ability to direct a film. The strong personal style of Spartan 300 can say a lot. Simon then he patted Zack Snyder on the shoulder. Originally thought that it would be different to take Spartan 300 Warriors from Warner Brothers to develop it by itself. Unexpectedly, Warner Brothers had contact with Zack Snyder last year. The adaptation of Watchmen is difficult, but not so big. Superhero movies, which everyone likes to watch, are family-friendly, not the heavy, politically charged type. At least, Warner Brothers is not bound to Zack Snyder now. Christopher Nolan does have an exclusive contract with Warner Bros. After all, Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan seem to have contracts with Warner Brothers in the original time and space, and their subsequent films are basically produced by Warner Bros. There is talent, but I just like to make movies too in-depth. It's too dangerous to play like a commercial blockbuster. Simon can only sigh in his heart, and he wants to show his incompetence in a commercial blockbuster with an investment of more than $100 million. Same thing. So hard. Chapter 128. I'm optimistic about you. Simon, congratulations. MGM Chairman Harry Sloan and Simon touched their glasses in congratulations. Thank you, but it's still not as good as MGM's reboot of 007. That Casino Royale has a good reputation at the box office, and now the next 007 Quantum of Solace will start filming, so don't worry about the box office. It's good to have one in 2 years. Simon envied MGM for having the 007 killer, but since the producer was Danjo Films represented by Barbara Broccoli, part of the movie's profits would be part out now that Sony controls MGM, and of course put the distribution rights of the 007 series to Columbia Pictures. MGM can get even less profit from the film. Harry Throne is the chairman of the MGM Group, but MGM's finances are independent. Its revenue is its own, but its debt is still its own. In the past 2 years, MGM has produced this 007 vs. Casino Royale, which is a successful film, and the distributor is Sony Columbia. MGM's debt problem is getting worse now. Simon, we at MGM have a complete distribution system in North America. If Xinghai Pictures currently needs this, we will cooperate with you. Harry Sloan certainly hopes to release Xinghai Pictures films. Really make money. Thank you, Harry, but we still have a contract with 20th Century Fox. Simon laughed. Simon, I haven't finished my words yet. MGM is not helping you distribute Xinghai Pictures movies on behalf of you, but the distribution department helps Xinghai Pictures release movies, using Xinghai Pictures label. We are manpower and relationship. Lend it to you, Harry Sloan said, smiling. Xinghe Pictures definitely wants to build its own distribution department, so that it can also accumulate experience. Simon is indeed a little surprised. MGM's suggestion is actually good. They use their hands to distribute it, but it is the label of Xinghe Pictures and reputation. This requires our Xinghe Pictures to have a distribution shelf first. Although Simon was a little moved, it was actually not very useful. After all, Xinghe Pictures has no distribution capabilities at all. Unlike Harvey Weinstein's Weinstein Pictures, it did use MGM's distribution channels to sign a cooperation agreement. However, Demon Pictures, which was taken away from Disney before, is complete and has the ability to distribute movies, but it mainly distributes genre films. Weinstein Pictures and MGM's distribution agreement cooperation is a win-win. MGM can earn some labor fees, and Weinstein Pictures can improve its distribution network. Simon, think about it. After all, it is not a matter of 1 or 2 years to establish a new distribution system. Of course, the quality of the films produced by Xinghe Pictures can indeed make up for these deficiencies, but it is not your box office that is sacrificed. Is it? Harry Sloan said with a smile, and he didn't think Simon would definitely agree to this. After all, whether a production company has its own distribution department is a very different situation. With the distribution department, it is a film company, which can conduct film trading business and distribute other people's films. Simon nodded. MGM, it's a pity to be reduced to doing this kind of labor work now. Hi, Simon. Lionsgate chairman John Fissmore came over and gave Simon a hug. The 2 films produced by Xinghe Pictures are very successful. Toast. Simon smiled and touched him with another glass of wine. Simon, our board of directors held a meeting to discuss the proposal to merge Xinghe Entertainment and Lionsgate Pictures, which was initiated by the major shareholder Frank Gusta, John Fisher said with a smile. However, it has been put on hold by me, because it is impossible. Simon was stunned for a moment, and then smiled. Frank Gusta, how could he have such an idea? Lionsgate Entertainment and Xinghe Pictures merged? Haha, the banker, but I really hope to merge. With the production capabilities of Xinghe Pictures and the distribution of Lionsgate Pictures, it may really make a lot of difference, John Fissmore said in his heart. Yes, of course, but Simon Pike certainly won't. Lionsgate Entertainment was a listed company yesterday, and now the company's biggest asset is the huge library of movies and TV films. Although they are all non-mainstream movies, the DVD market was prosperous before, providing a lot of cash flow every year. Now, the DVD market is slowing down, and Lionsgate's biggest reliance is flawed. What's more important is the valuation of Xinghe Entertainment. It is difficult to estimate the value. Not only does Marvel Pictures have 2 movies released next year, Xinghe, it would be terrifying if the movies produced by the industry every year were of this quality, and now Xinghe Entertainment is entering TV, reality shows, and Xingchen records. The strength of Xinghe Entertainment is indeed not comparable to that of Lionsgate. After all, a distribution system of Lionsgate is worth a lot of money, but in other aspects, it is really inferior to Xinghe Entertainment. How could Simon Pike use its thriving Xinghe Entertainment to merge with Lionsgate Entertainment, which has serious shareholder infighting? John, I don't know about some specific situations inside Lionsgate Entertainment, but I still know some aspects. However, the way to make money purely with movies will not work, Simon said and patted John Fay with his hands. Small shoulders. The upstream and downstream industries of the media group are no less profitable than the film itself. As the leader of the group, the film should play a role as a locomotive. John Fishmore smiled. What about himself? He don't know, but Lionsgate Entertainment has acquired several distributors along the way. Of course, along with their film libraries, every acquisition requires financing in the stock market. Now some people are still optimistic about the home entertainment market and believe that the new generation of high-definition DVD will be brilliant again, but some shareholders no longer want to rely on movies, but want to be in TV stations and digital media get involved. Even Simon Pike himself is not optimistic about the simple film itself to make a profit. What else is qualified to say? After all, Xinghe Entertainment now relies on the movie itself to make money, and the rate of return is super high. Alice, John Fisher sighed helplessly. John, if you are unhappy at Lionsgate in the future, you can come to Xinghe. I am very optimistic about you. Simon laughed. This is the truth. John Fissmore has a very unique vision in horror and bloody films. In the future, the sub-label of Xinghe Films in charge of the B-level film market does need a person in charge. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. we warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129: A Piece of Fat. In a corner of the celebration hall, Simon Parker sat on the sofa with a slightly red face, drinking a little too much wine. Simon, you seem to be very busy with your business today. Almost all the executives of various film companies have come to chat with you. Nina Jacobson sat next to Simon and smiled. How? Nina, do you know what we look like now? Like what? It's like a piece of tender and delicious fat. Everyone wants to eat it. Simon's tone was very light, and all the film companies expressed their thoughts on Xinghe Films. Simon, have you considered bringing in external investors? There are a lot of places we will spend money in the future. Nina Jacobson suggested. I understand, you are worried that something will happen to me on Wall Street. Don't worry. It has long been rumored in Hollywood that Simon Pike mortgaged stocks to invest in real estate credit on Wall Street. Nina Jacobson nodded and said that she was just a practicing manager. Now that Xinghe Entertainment has grown very well, there is really no need to interfere with Simon's thoughts. Simon, who was leaning on the sofa, watched Nina leave, thinking that the shares of Xinghe Pictures will be used to acquire important companies in the future, and will not be easily exchanged for equity. Hey, Simon, I think I really missed a lot at the time. Nicole Kidman came over with a look of regret. After all, she was not optimistic about the Project Spartan 300 Warriors at the beginning. Really? Simon smiled and asked again, your Hawaiian producer hasn't developed any projects yet. Now, the small-budget literary film Sunshine Cleaning that you recommended, starring Amy Adams and Emily Blunt, but it seems that there is no publisher support now. Nicole Kidman contacted. It's still hard to impress a publisher with a script alone. The budget doesn't seem to be high, and you don't need to invest alone. Let's shoot it first. The distributor can find it slowly. Go to some film festivals and you should get something. Simon leaned on the sofa, a little tired, said, and if you really can't find a distributor, don't worry, Xinghe Pictures will definitely have its own distribution network next year. Okay, Simon, I think you've been drinking too much. Do you want to go back to rest first? Nicole Kidman approached. I'm not too worried about distribution. After all, the movie's budget is very low. I only need to invest $2 or $3 million. Don't worry, I'm just a little tired. Simon had just chatted with the executives of all the blockbusters except Disney, and accepted the blessing. Of course, he didn't drink less wine. Simon stood up, rubbed his temples with his fingers, and asked, I told you to sell some real estate as soon as possible. How are you doing? It's almost done. Now I have enough money. Do you need it? Nicole Kidman still made some assets by investing in properties before Simon shook his head and said, I don't need anything. I just think that you have enough funds on hand now. Why didn't you look for project development? Yes, I have met many filmmakers in Australia before, and I have also invested in a TV series. Nicole Kidman has been filming in Australia for half a year, but she still did something. Simon smiled, suddenly saw Russell Crowe on the other side, and asked with a smile, did Russell Crowe, the original lead actor of Australia, give up because the salary could not be negotiated? Yes, 20th Century Fox couldn't meet his demands, and you know what happened later. Nicole Kidman said as the director recommended Hugh Jackman. Russell Crowe, Simon was because he saw him now, and suddenly thought of Sharon Waxman saying that she had received calls from Mark Damon and Russell Crowe, and Ben Affleck, threatening by not publishing the Harvey Weinstein scandal. They can vouch that Harvey Weinstein is a man of integrity after the Oscar-winning actor's perfect performance in Gladiator, the following Iron Fist Man and Fighting in the Furious Sea are big box office failures. Like Nicole Kidman, the male and female stars with high pay and low returns are the first. If Russell Crowe and Nicole Kidman really starred in Australian chaos, Simon couldn't imagine what the ending would be like. By the way, Simon. But Russell Crowe and George Clooney are very different? Nicole Kidman said, looking over there, and then smiled. Oh, what do you mean? They shouldn't have anything to do with each other, right? Haven't they both made a lot of Miramax movies? Simon was a little interested. Russell looked down on George Clooney's acting skills, saying that as an actor he only knew how to shoot commercials everywhere. Nicole laughed. Oh, looking at it this way, it's also right. Hollywood first-line stars, especially male stars, basically don't accept advertisements, Simon said. After all, as an actor, shooting an advertisement is to show his face, which reduces his own sense of mystery too much. George Clooney blamed Russell for being nosy. Simon shook his head and said, it doesn't make any sense. George Clooney is a star, and his acting skills are not qualified to be comparable to Russell Crowe's. The movie remuneration between the two is too much. After all, in Hollywood, Russell Crowe is the top male star, and Oscar winner is proof. George Clooney, with the attractive appearance, walks the path of the idol after Nicole Kidman left the sofa. Simon suddenly remembered what Sharon Waxman said about Matt Damon. The sequel Reborn 3 produced by Universal Pictures is about to be released. Hi, Mr. Pike. Good evening. Okay. Simon turned his head. It was Amanda Seyfried. Hello, Amanda. Simon finished and hugged Amanda Seyfried. Can I do a dance with you? Amanda Seyfried asked. Simon looked at the equally youthful Amanda Seyfried, who has a different type of beauty than Blake Lively. Let's go. On the dance floor, Simon Pike put his arms around Amanda Seyfried and asked, is Mamma Mia about to close? Well, my part is finished, and I have to wait until the middle of next month to complete the filming. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Amanda Seyfried is sincerely grateful for being chosen by Simon Parker. Fortunately, your performance is good, Simon said, and then smiled again, and the director also said that you are very serious. I'm also worried that there will be some flaws in the singing part. Amanda Seyfried actually released an album herself, and her singing skills are better than ordinary actors. The film adaptation of a musical is different from the original music requirements. Simon originally held a girl's hand with one hand and put his arm around the girl's waist, looked at Amanda Seyfried, and praised, "You are so beautiful today." Chapter 130. The crisis emerges. Simon Pike hugs Amanda Seyfried and kisses in a suite at the Beverly Hills Hilton. From the moment they entered the door, the two held each other together and never separated. Their youthful faces were matched with beautiful Chiron bodies, and it was an unforgettable night. At night, when the clouds and rain rested, Simon Pike lay on the bed with his arms around Amanda Seyfried's delicate body, and said, "What do you think of the movie Mamma Mia, the filming process?" Amanda Seyfried responded, leaning in Simon's arms, rolling her big eyes, "I think it's very good. Ms. Streep and Mr. Brosnan are very professional. The musical itself is very popular, and the film adaptation will definitely be successful." Simon smiled, and Amanda Seyfried added, "The box office will be good too." Knowing that Simon cares about the box office of the movie, nothing else matters. Haha. Simon happily rubbed the girl's smooth skin, then scraped the strawberry on the girl's chest, then looked up at the ceiling and said, "Your role in the movie is also very important. I believe that after the release next year, the name Amanda Seyfried will be known by many people." Okay. The great success of Spartan 300 Warriors not only proved once again the ability of Simon Pike's Xinghe film, but also attracted the collective attention of several major Hollywood studios signing a distribution contract, buying shares, acquiring in other forms. Xinghe Entertainment's response was a vague refusal. As independent filmmaker Harvey Weinstein said, Simon Pike will set up his own distribution network to compete with the current 6 major distributors. After a few days of hanging out with Amanda Seyfried, a recluse in Los Angeles, Simon Pike went to San Francisco. In the center of the San Francisco Bay Area, the second largest metropolitan area in California, and the largest city in Northern California, Simon still attaches great importance to it. In the executive suite of the Four Seasons Hotel in San Francisco, Soma, Simon is sitting at a table reading a message. On June 14, Bear Stearns, one of the 5 largest investment banks on Wall Street, released its quarterly report, saying that the company's quarterly profit fell 10% from a year earlier due to the weakening mortgage market. On August 1, Bear Stearns announced that its 2 funds that invested in subprime mortgage securitization products had collapsed, and investors lost $1.5 billion today. One of Bear Stearns' co-CEOs, Warren Spector, announced his resignation. Nancy Davis said, looking at her watch, which was 8.5 today. "Oh, it's August, and the signs are finally burning. How are our earnings?" Simon doesn't care about the consequences of subprime mortgage bonds, but only pays attention to his own earnings. After all, CDS has now become a favorite among real estate credit investors. Nancy Davis looked happy and quickly responded, "At present, we have a total loan of about $300 million, but the current profit is definitely more than 300%. That's good. The value of CDS is only so great. Before the end of the month, we will sell all of them, at our own principal, and raise enough $1 billion to use leverage to short the housing loan companies headed by Fannie and Freddie Mac." Simon never thought of making money from pure credit insurance, mostly the U.S. stock market. Sell now? If we were waiting, our CDS holdings could be worth more, cautions Nancy Davis. Simon shook his head and said with a smile, "Now that these investment banks still have funds on hand, and they hold too many subordinate securities. They need risk hedging. Our CDS is a good time to sell, and its value is so much, no matter how much it goes up, there won't be much more. Simon is worried that these investment institutions will withdraw because of investors' distrust and their cash flow will be cut off. $1 billion, it should be about the same. But use leverage to short 2 houses? Nancy Davis was really worried. The 2 houses are guaranteed by the government, and their credit rating has always been the highest. Will they have problems? Why not? You have also seen that more and more houses are being auctioned by banks, and house prices are falling more and more, Simon said, looking out the window, and said with a smile, it's just the beginning. The credit defaults of millions of people are about to appear. The 2 houses hold the most subprime mortgages. How can the U.S. government guarantee it? If the house price falls, its stock will fall along with it. Nancy Davis has been studying for several months, and now the situation is indeed developing towards the worst case. And finally, if there is a phenomenon of millions of homeowners defaulting, it will be more than Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. If it falls sharply, all commercial stocks related to real estate will definitely fall. Nancy, 10 times leverage, our principal is too small, and we have not vigorously absorbed external investment. This $1 billion is all our capital. We have to play big. Simon said decisively, 10x leverage? Nancy Davis discouraged, the $1 billion is now in your pocket. You don't need to play this high-risk bet. 10 times, 10 billion chips, 10% margin. I don't think Liang Fang's stock will rise more than 10%. Simon laughed. However, the fall is too small, and the money we make is not enough to pay the commission and interest. After hearing this, Simon turned around and stared at Nancy Davis, and said, go get ready. At the end of this month, I will be shorting 2 rooms with all my strength. You decided? Nancy Davis could not object, or, this is what you really think about. Simon nodded and acquiesced. After all, his 9-headed bird fund was just a private investment fund that was just established. It was not like a private equity fund like the Paulson Fund, which had a huge investment group and enough bullets. Okay, by the way, the Facebook you put me in touch with, they rejected our investment, and Microsoft is now valuing them at $15 billion now, and they're talking about investment share, Nancy Davis said. After all, when I came to the Bay Area this time, I came into contact with Facebook. Refused, didn't you? Simon smiled helplessly. Indeed, the current 9-headed bird fund does not have much influence, and he is just a Hollywood film company owner. Perhaps in their eyes, the performance of investing in U2 may have been brighter last year. Yahoo invested $1 billion to acquire Facebook, but it was rejected. Now Microsoft is valued at $15 billion, Alice. Nancy Davis did not expect that the valuation of technology companies would rise so fast. It doesn't matter, the investment also depends on the brand and effect. It is normal for us to be rejected. After all, this is Facebook's C round of financing. Chapter 131 Sports Entertainment. The San Francisco metropolitan area, the economic circle centered on the San Francisco Bay, is dominated by San Francisco on the San Francisco Peninsula, Oakland in the east of the Bay Area, and San Jose in the south of the Bay Area. Not far from the Four Seasons Hotel in San Francisco is San Francisco's Chinatown, home to the largest Chinatown on the West Coast. Sir, Chinatown is here. The driver pointed to the archway in Chinatown, and Simon nodded and got out of the car. Simon entered Chinatown for the first time. New York has the largest Chinatown in the United States, but Simon has never been there. With yellow skin, black hair, and a really familiar face, Simon walked alone on the street to feel the closeness in his bones. Chinatown is a large community composed of several streets. Simon Pike is indeed aimless. Just because he came to San Francisco, he came here on purpose. The location of Silicon Valley, the San Jose area in the southern part of the Bay Area, is an important industrial location for technology venture capital. After walking to a small park bench and sitting down, Simon looked at the few pedestrians in the park like this, and his thoughts were full of thoughts. The phone in his pocket rang, and Simon took out his phone. It was Laura Collins. What's up? Boss, the crew of Life and Death went to Germany today. The filming cycle is 4 months. It is estimated that the film will be closed before Christmas, Laura Collins reported on the company's next projects. Got it. How is the filming of Slumdog Millionaire in India? Simon asked. It went well. The director specially asked an Indian producer to help, and the crew didn't encounter much trouble during the filming process in the slum over there. That's good. After all, the environment in India is different. Just let the crew members pay attention to safety. Simon, of course, has no confidence in the safety of Hassan's country. Fortunately, the staff are all male. Boss, where are you? Not in Los Angeles, in San Francisco. I will be very busy in the next few months. Just call me if the company has anything. Now Simon certainly won't focus on the film company, and the last big harvest of the year is about to begin. After hanging up, Simon left Chinatown and met with Wells Fargo executives at night with Nancy Davis. Wells Fargo, of course, is also a private commercial bank, headquartered in San Francisco, not comparable to Bank of America, and Citibank is the same level. Bank of America's former headquarters was also in the financial district of San Francisco, but it has moved to Charlotte, the largest city in North Carolina, in the southeastern United States, said Nancy Davis and Simon Pike after they left Wells Fargo. Talk while walking. Wells Fargo is also good. Although it is the fourth largest bank in terms of volume, it attracts the most personal deposits. The proportion of insurance, real estate mortgages, and private credit is not heavy, and it is still very stable. We let them do settlement, or good. Simon didn't really care, except that Wells Fargo chose the bank because it was on the West Coast. Simon, what about us about foreign exchange? Nancy Davis asked. That's not important, it's convenient to convert it into euros. After all, our purpose is now on the New York Stock Exchange. Both rooms can be settled in US dollars, and we mainly short the two rooms. Simon said. Understood. Before the end of the month, I will start building positions. Nancy Davis will do what Simon wants no matter what, but the pressure is still great. Simon nodded and then parted ways with Nancy Davis. Sir, are you going back to the hotel? After Simon got into the car, the driver asked. No, I want to see the Golden Gate Bridge at night. Simon said casually, leaning on the chair in the back seat of the car. The Golden Gate Bridge, connecting the San Francisco Peninsula and California, runs north-south across the Golden Gate Strait located on the east coast of the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco. The majestic Golden Gate Bridge spans the strait, and the driver drove the car to the south of the bridge, on a high ground at the end of San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge, Fisherman's Wharf, Union Square, these tourist attractions in San Francisco are too ordinary. Simon leaned on the car, and the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance did not look so beautiful under the lights. Sir, maybe you have seen too many beautiful buildings. The Golden Gate Bridge is often blown up in movies. The driver echoed. I prefer the natural scenery of mountains and rivers, as for buildings. When Simon was talking, a noisy voice suddenly came from not far away. That's David Beckham. Next year's LA Galaxy season ticket must be bought. What's so good about football? We should go to rugby, baseball and basketball. It turned out to be a young couple, and the woman was going to watch the Los Angeles Galaxy game directly to see David Beckham. I can't believe that David Beckham's joining the Los Angeles Galaxy will have such a big impact. In the future, when the Rose Bowl Stadium is played in the Los Angeles Galaxy, the audience will definitely be much larger. Simon also sighed. MLS, Major League Soccer, said. Good business. David Beckham's personal influence is now absolutely world-class. Yes, my daughter is going to be clamoring to watch the LA Galaxy game. God knows she doesn't understand the rules of football. The driver also smiled helplessly. David Beckham joining the LA Galaxy is a boost for the team and the entire MLS. Simon laughed. After all, after David Beckham came to Los Angeles last month, Tom Cruise, Mr. and Mrs. Will Smith, the couple also specially held a welcome party. It can be said that David Beckham is very positive about the entire MLS system and market operations go back. Simon himself has his own ideas about basketball, football and rugby, NBA teams and NFL teams. I believe there will be sales soon. There are always those Yankees who need to cash out. As for football teams, the Premier League has always been Simon's first choice. As for La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A and Ligue 1 Bundesliga teams, 50+1 rules, 51% of the club's shares belong to members, and external investors can only have a maximum of 49%, and they cannot own the right to operate the team. Serie A teams, not to mention the economic downturn in Italy, land property rights belong to the government, and teams cannot own stadium property rights. In La Liga and Ligue 1, except for the leaders, the rest of the teams are indeed worthless. Simon thinks about it, and it is best to choose the Premier League, or leagues other than the Premier League could have teams and maybe build a sports entertainment empire. Chapter 132. One of the goals. The San Francisco Bay Area is the second largest metropolitan area on the west coast of the United States, and a group of tech giants in Silicon Valley will also rise. Therefore, San Francisco has a very high status in Simon's heart. After all, The 21st century is an era of technological intelligence. San Francisco on the Bay Area Peninsula, San Jose to the south, and Oakland to the east through the Bay Bridge. Simon has visited mainly, of course, is the Silicon Valley area in San Jose, San Francisco, which is the future after all. Oakland, home of the Golden State Warriors, Oracle Arena, which Simon Pike and Blake Lively from New York just visited. Simon, the NBA hasn't started yet. It's only early September, and the NBA won't start the regular season until the end of next month. Blake Lively wondered why Simon brought himself to Oakland to see the stadium. I know, I'll just see what the arena is like. It's really old. Simon knew that the Warriors would be sold after that, and was also one of Simon's potential targets. Oracle Stadium was sponsored by Oracle Corporation last year. It used to be called the Oakland Coliseum. It was renovated once in 1997. It is too old, but after the renovation, the number of seats is close to 20,000.10 years. Oracle's $18 million sponsorship fee is really cheap. Golden State Warriors 06-07 season, but created a Black 8 miracle well, making the playoffs for the first time in 12 years, knocking out the number 1 Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs. This team has poor results. Simon, do you support the Golden State Warriors? Blake Lively asked while holding Simon's arm. No, I think this team is closer to Los Angeles. You know, I want to buy an NBA team. Simon laughed afterwards. The two drove back to San Francisco from the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. Although they belong to the San Francisco-Oakland metropolitan area, the economic volume of San Francisco is not comparable to that of Oakland. At least, Silicon Valley can go to downtown San Francisco without crossing the Bay Bridge. By the way, Simon, Gossip Girl airs in September. The first season has 18 episodes. We have already shot 10 episodes, and we will shoot the remaining 8 episodes during the winter break. Blake Lively has recently been in New York filming the Starcia TV production Gossip Girl. Not bad. What do you think of this TV? Simon asked while driving. Very young and fashionable. Anyway, it is the life of a wealthy family in the Upper East Side of New York. It should be attractive. Blake Lively himself is just a little star, and he is not well known. Perhaps the biggest reason for frequent news is that the people around him are. Simon Parker. Don't worry, Zinghe TV production company's first series, how could it fail? And we have been preparing for so long. CW TV station is taking this kind of youth idol route, and they are also very optimistic. Simon comforted. CW TV. The network is a joint venture of Viacom's Upton TV network and Time Warner's WB-TV station. It is the 5th largest wireless broadcast TV network in the United States. Blake Lively nodded, the mole under his eyes moved, and then smiled. Gossip Girl will premiere in a week anyway. Let's wait for the results. Gossip Girl premiered on 9.10 on the CW. Simon nodded. Viacom Group just made another big move last month, announcing that its film and television companies such as Paramount, DreamWorks, MTV, and Nickelodeon fully support HD DVD, and signed an 18-month contract. Exclusive agreement. Originally, Viacom Group produced both Blu-ray and HD of high-definition DVD. Now it suddenly only produces HD DVD. The HD camp led by Toshiba and Microsoft has paid a lot of money. In addition, Time Warner also supports HD DVD, and the advantages of the Blu-ray camp led by Sony have been reduced. On the way back to the Four Seasons Hotel in San Francisco, after passing through the Chinatown community, I found that some Democrats were holding signs on the street to canvass votes. These guys, maybe they only think about this when they need votes at this time. Simon curled his lips. When Arnold Schwarzenegger was re-elected, he stepped into Chinatown for the first time to seek vote support. There are mainly Chinese people in Chinatown. Those who are not illegal immigrants have votes, but there are not many Chinese voters, and they do not like to participate in politics, so they have been ignored. Hey, it looks like Hillary Clinton's campaign. Blake Lively said, looking out the car window. It seems yes, Hillary Clinton has been very strong recently. Fundraising dinners are often held in Hollywood. Her husband, former President William Clinton, is everywhere to help her canvass for votes. Simon smiled. Could America really have its first female president? The female president is very good. It seems that there is another black Democratic candidate who has a good momentum. Is the United States about to have the first black president? Blake Lively said and kissed Simon on the face after returning to his room at the Four Seasons Hotel in San Francisco. Simon sat down on the sofa, and the team accepted their millions of dollars in campaign funding. Martha Cosby is not only helping herself organize some information about film distribution companies and theater chains, but she is also her political assistant, and her support for the is not strong enough at that time. It seems that I will have to hold a fundraising dinner for this guy in Hollywood. Otherwise, in Hollywood, with Hillary Clinton's prestige and resources, he will lose ugly. Getting help in the snow. Alice, Simon has no idea who will be the president of the United States. Opinion, but right now two candidates, a black man and a woman, are the most promising, although the two guys are equally nasty. Hillary Clinton, forget it. Economics and politics are inseparable. More support for the future is better to have some benefits. Blake Lively sat next to Simon and put his arms around Simon's waist, and whispered close to Simon's ear. The newspaper said that your 9-headed bird fund is very beautiful, and there are more reports about you. Fortunately, I've been here for a month anyway. Simon was indeed in San Francisco recently, and Nancy Davis was responsible for helping him short 2 houses with leverage. The stock price of the 2 houses is now a high price of $70 a share, and in April it was only more than $50 a share. Simon remembers very clearly that the stock price of Liang Fang has plunged since October, and it will definitely not rise by 10% within a month. The 9-headed bird fund is very safe. Afterwards, Blake Lively sat on Simon's body and bowed his head to kiss him on the sofa. The two hug each other, their lips and tongues are interlaced, their clothes are gradually unraveling, and the scenery is beautiful. Chapter 133. Simon and Amp Vision. Early in the morning, the breeze was blowing, and Simon leaned on a chair on the balcony, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper. At this time, the Venice Film Festival is in full swing. The 9-headed bird fund is also going all out to short the stocks of the 2 houses, the support of the Democratic candidate in the U.S. presidential election, the purchase of the bonds of the U.S. Summit Entertainment, the films of Xinghe Entertainment and TV production. Although Simon Parker is currently in San Francisco, he has not relaxed his neglect of his current work. It's finally here. Simon took a sip of his coffee and looked at the Pacific Ocean in the distance. The number of people who defaulted on housing loans increased exponentially. Although the government kept saying that the economy would not decline, the actual situation was very different. Bad house prices have fallen sharply. Although Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are guaranteed by the U.S. government, the current stock prices are very stable. However, Simon of course knew that the 2 houses could not stop this monstrous wave, and the subprime mortgage crisis was not just a talk. Darling, you got up so early? Blake Lively came out sleepily, wearing a sexy silk pajamas. Sitting next to Simon, he kissed Simon's face, and said with a smile, because the newspaper said that you dared to gamble on Wall Street because you made a successful investment. How? The newspaper also said that I might be selling Xinghe Entertainment. I don't think about it because the wind is rain. Simon smiled and continued, I just got a project from the company's TV department about making Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know this. Xinghe Entertainment's production will be broadcast on Entertainment Channel. You have already started? Blake Lively knew that Kim Kardashian broke out a sex video incident this year, which is very popular. Oh, it will be broadcast in November, and the recording has already started. It is the first project for the company to enter the reality show. Simon doesn't care about the character and image of the main creator. However, the Facebook financing that Simon has been paying attention to has made progress. Microsoft won the competition from Google and valued Facebook at $15 billion, investing $240 million in exchange for a 1.6% stake in Facebook, according to Zuckerberg's current nearly 40% stake. According to Microsoft's valuation, this guy is estimated to be worth $5 or $6 billion. Simon, are you still going to be here in San Francisco? I'm going to help promote Gossip Girl, Blake Lively said, wrapping his arms around Simon's neck. No, I'm leaving too. Let's go to Germany. Life and Death is being filmed there. I'll go take a look. Simon mainly wants to go to Germany to see the specific situation of the film fund and tax rebate policy there. After all, the rebate of the German Federal Film Fund is relatively strong, plus the European Union Film Fund, the German government and the Berlin Film Festival's cooperation with the World Film Fund. Therefore, although Germany has perfected the tax rebate loophole for overseas films before, the compensation that can be obtained by co-producing films with German film production companies and filming in Germany is still relatively large. Blake Lively nodded, feeling that Simon Pike was under a lot of pressure recently. After all, his investment in Wall Street was hundreds of millions of dollars. By the way, Simon, there's something I want to tell you, Blake Lively said hesitantly. Well, what's the matter? Simon frowned when he saw Blake Lively's hesitation. It's about Jennifer Smith, who seems to have met Harvey Weinstein once in New York. Blake Lively didn't want to say, but Jennifer Smith was Simon's friend once. Harvey Weinstein asked Jennifer to go to the hotel to talk about a role, but he was rejected. Later, I heard from the agent Susan White. Blake Lively held back for a while, and then said, Harvey Weinstein said to keep Jennifer Smith out of the show? Well, hotel audition? Simon shook his head and smiled. Harvey Weinstein means to block Jennifer Smith? Jennifer Smith is just a small actor now, and it is too easy for a big man like Harvey Weinstein to deal with her. I didn't hear Susan mention it. Simon said helplessly. Jennifer Smith's current movies and TV are all projects of Xinghai Entertainment, and of course Harvey Weinstein can't get in. However, some other movies or series are hard to say. After all, Weinstein Pictures is an independent distributor. Susan was going to tell you about this, but Jennifer said that you don't need to bother you with such trivial matters. Blake Lively said and stretched. I know, but it's good that people don't suffer. Simon said that he is also a well-known figure in Hollywood now, and Jennifer Smith is also his friend after all. If Harvey Weinstein also spoiled it, it would be too useless. Susan has told us that we should all be careful about Harvey Weinstein, and we all know the conflict between Xinghai Entertainment and Weinstein Pictures, and the projects of Weinstein Pictures are very important. Be careful. In fact, Blake Lively wouldn't work with Weinstein Pictures at all. After all, he now has Simon Pike's Xinghai Entertainment as his backer. Simon nodded, picked up the phone next to him and called Sonia Roman. What? Is something wrong, Simon? Sonia Roman's voice came. Did Sharon Waxman go to the Venice Film Festival? Simon asked. Well, go. At the end of last month, Venice Electric went when the festival opened. You know, Italy is basically the European headquarters of Weinstein Pictures, and Harvey Weinstein's branch in Italy is very important. Sonia Roman heard Simon ask. Since Sharon Waxman investigated the situation, Director Simon was concerned about the situation of Harvey Weinstein. That's good. There should be a lot of victims at this kind of film festival. Let Sharon Waxman investigate carefully. Simon knew that it was normal for a female stars to sleep with them in the entertainment industry. However, Jennifer Smith is his friend, and Harvey Weinstein has to deal with her. Sharon Waxman still knows a lot of people, and she has already investigated Harvey Weinstein's situation before, but the completed news is not published according to her original book. I believe she will definitely surprise us. Sonia Roman was confident. That's good. Next year will be a great opportunity. The new president adds to how good the economic crisis is. Chapter 134. Munich is good. On the outskirts of Berlin, Germany, on the set of the film Life and Death, Simon Pegg is chatting with Anthony Minghella, one of the producers, about a film with such powerful actors as Kate Winslet and Ralph Fiennes, and the background of the trauma of World War II. The tone of the film is gray. From the beginning of shooting, our film has received a lot of attention, Anthony Minghella said with a smile. After all, the novel was very popular before Simon looked at the film's shooting schedule in his hand, and is currently filming the scene where the heroine undergoes a public trial in her old age. The heroine was a keeper of a Jewish concentration camp during World War II, and she concealed her experience after the war. He then develops an affair with a student, and the student, who becomes a historian many years later, recognizes the old white-haired woman in the courtroom as his lover. According to the current progress, it is still not possible to close the film by the end of the year, Simon asked. It turns out that Kate Winslet still has some additional scenes in Revolutionary Road. Anthony Minghella shook his head and explained, this film, our shooting requirements are very high. The story itself is good, but it also needs to be carefully crafted. Also, we shoot in German and English, and we hope to restore history with a lot of historical research. Simon nodded. A literary film. This film was ready to hit the Oscars from the start. You don't have to worry about the release time of the movie. The German side is in charge of the co-producer Constantine Pictures, and the North American side will soon have a distributor to take over. Simon now needs to appease Anthony Minghella and the others. After the film is shot, of course it's going to be released. I understand. Don't worry, there will be no problems in film production, and I also believe in the ability of Xinghai Films in terms of distribution, Anthony Minghella said. Xinghai Films is an investor after all. Tens of millions of dollars in ashes in the warehouse. By the way, because the dialogue of our film is also a German film, we have also applied for the EU Film Fund and the German Federal Film Fund at the same time, and I believe they will all pass. Anthony Minghella, as a producer, must of course work hard on the film budget. I still miss the best film tax rebate policy in Germany, but it's okay. The Film Fund supports Consumption tax rebate. Simon said and nodded, plus the full support of the German local Constantin Films. Not bad. Is the capital of Germany. It is the political, economic, and cultural center in the largest city. The economy of Berlin and even the whole of Germany is very developed, especially the high-precision manufacturing industry, which is also a housekeeping skill. In the evening, Simon returned to the Holiday Inn Berlin Pressure Mountain near the Pressure Mountain Square in downtown Berlin. Sarah Bradner was in Munich, and she stopped by when Simon came to Berlin. After all, after meeting through Diane Kruger in New York, the two haven't seen each other for a while. Simon, there are many good theaters and museums here in Berlin. They have a lot of history. Do you want to go shopping? Sarah Bradner, 180 centimeters, hugged Simon from behind and asked coquettishly. Brandenburg 8, Friedrich Palace Theater, Berlin Cathedral, these? Simon smiled, not interested, and there are too many Jewish museums, Jewish monuments or cemeteries in Berlin. Which Simon doesn't like. I feel depressed. The Mossad, a Jewish spy organization, has no idea how many naive people were assassinated in those days. Germany has a good attitude towards Jews now. Well, do you want to go to the theater? Our German local musical is also very good. Sarah Bradner was originally in Munich, and Simon came to Berlin immediately after arriving in Germany. Okay, to be honest, I don't feel anything about Berlin. Simon turned around, kissed the girl on the face, and continued, Frankfurt is Germany's largest financial center, and Hamburg is Germany's largest port city. It seems that Munich's population should be second only to Berlin and Hamburg. It is the third largest city in Germany. In fact, I am interested in Munich. Really? Our Munich is the largest city in southern Germany, and retains many of the quaint customs of the original capital of the Kingdom of Bavaria. Sarah Bradner was born in Munich and just went to university in Munich. Of course she is familiar with it. I know Munich because of Bayern Munich and the Bundesliga. Simon responded with a smile. The Bundesliga squad, Bayern Munich, I've always been a fan of it, Sarah Bradner said excitedly. Simon Parker, as an American, also likes to watch football. Simon, I start school at the beginning of next month. How long will you stay in Germany? Of course Sarah Bradner wanted to spend more time with Simon. As a fashion model, you and Simon spend time together in public and private. Good for yourself. Later this month, I'll accompany you on a trip to Munich in a few days, Simon said, looking out the window at the TV tower on the edge of the Pressure Mountain Square, soaring into the clouds. That is the tallest building in Berlin, but it is only 368 meters high, and there are few skyscrapers in the urban layout. The Bundesliga has also played a few rounds, and we can go to the Allianz Arena to watch one. Sarah Bradner seemed to be looking forward to it. Munich Allianz Arena, the opening ceremony stadium of the World Cup in Germany last year, a new stadium that was opened in 2005. That stadium is good. Simon really thinks that the Munich Allianz Arena is very well designed, and even the appearance of the stadium is very suitable for him taste. Bayern Munich is a football team that Simon knows. Deutsche Telekom, Allianz Insurance, Adidas, and Audi all hold shares in some teams. Simon, are you right? Bayern Munich know it well. Sarah Bradner was indeed surprised. Simon smiled, sat on the sofa, and pulled Sarah Bradner into his arms. The figure of the German supermodel is really speechless. By the way, your work should often go to Paris, New York, Milan and other cities for catwalks. Simon still knows about the 4 fashion capitals, but London was selectively ignored by Simon. Sarah Bradner, who was in Simon's arms, nodded and said, Fortunately, my main job is in Germany now. After all, I still have to go to school. Also, I'll take you to Venice in 2 days, and take a look at the film festival there. It's a vacation, and then I'll go directly to Munich to watch a game at the Allianz Arena, Simon told Sarah Bullard. Na is still good, 19 years old, the age of the rainy season. Chapter 135. Sad Tom. Early in the morning, in the hotel suite, Simon rose sleepily from Sarah Bradner's graceful ketone body. Looking out the window, it was dawn, and then Sarah Bradner rubbed her eyes and yawned. Dear, it's still early, won't you sleep again? I made an appointment today, and I'm going to meet you later, Simon said with a smile. For more than a week, it seems that many German film circles will invite you to banquets. Which company is this time? Sarah Bradner was actually very happy. She followed Simon to some entertainment circle receptions, some in Germany. People in the entertainment industry have also seen it. Although he is only a young model, it is also very beneficial. I was invited by the big Hollywood star Tom Cruise, who was filming Operation Hitler in Berlin, based on a previous German film, Simon said, speaking in Sarah Bradner's pair of larges. Rubbing on his long legs, Tom Cruise plays Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg, the German general who assassinated Hitler in history, and the son of the prototype character does not accept Tom Cruise as his father. From the preparation to the shooting of Action Target Hitler, it has always been said that misfortunes do not come singly. First of all, the Scientology that Tom Cruise believes in is regarded as a pseudo-religion that only cares about making money in Germany. When the film company chose him to play the historical hero Klaus, when Colonel von Stauffenberg, he was criticized by many Germans. The film was also refused by German authorities to lend out military locations and historical sites for filming. Later, after many efforts, the German government agreed to lend it. The latest news is that 11 extras were injured in a car accident on set during the filming of Action Target Hitler. Sarah Bradner, of course, knew that Tom Cruise was also filming in Berlin. More than that, I heard that many of the films they shot before were scrapped during printing due to some operational mistakes, Simon said with a smile. Tom Cruise has 2 films to shoot this year. A low-cost political film, Lions in the Mouth, has been completed and will be released in November. The other is the military film Action Hitler. The main focus is in June next year, and now it is going to be reshooted again, and I don't know if it will be released in June next year. As the current head of Lionsgate Pictures, a subsidiary of MGM, backed by Merrill Lynch, the budgets of the 2 films this year seem to be low. The budget of Action Target Hitler is less than $80 million, but it encountered such an accident, which is tragic enough. Okay, let's fly to Venice together at night, then go directly to Munich, and then I'm going back to the United States, Simon said. Getting up from the bed, after all, he is still gambling in the United States. Nancy Davis recently very nervous, 10x leverage of $1 billion, too exciting in Berlin in September. The average temperature is only a dozen degrees, which is actually quite comfortable, and it will get colder in another month. In a high-end cafe in Mitte, at a table on the second floor by the window, Simon Pike and Tom Cruise sat face-to-face. Since the release of Mission Impossible 3, Tom Cruise has been at a low point in his life, and the topics surrounding Tom Cruise are all negative news: his religious beliefs, his marriage, his daughter Siri Wade. What's more important is his feud with former owner Paramount, the blatant criticism of him by Summer Redstone, and Tom Cruise's signature American smile and angular face have made the media tired. Tom, the recent film scrapping of Action Target Hitler shouldn't be too serious, right? Simon asked. Sure enough, Tom Cruise's signature smile immediately emerged, and he responded, "It's a little troublesome." The night scene film shot on the German Ministry of Defense was completely destroyed because of the wrong chemicals used during printing. MGM Helium will renegotiate with the German authorities to obtain the approval of the authorities, and once again enter the Bendler complex, an important historical site in Berlin. To take pictures it shouldn't be difficult, it's probably going to take some time, Simon comforted. Once upon a time, Tom Cruise was the existence he looked up to. Now, MGM is operating at full capacity, but next year's summer season should not be able to catch up, Tom Cruise regretted a little. After all, the filming of such historical sites requires reporting and approval at all levels, and it must take a long time. Tom Cruise is now facing the young Simon Pike before him. I originally thought that Xinhai Pictures was just an ordinary film company making small noises. I really did not expect the great success of several consecutive films, which shocked Hollywood all of a sudden. Although ex-wife Nicole Kidman's movies have not been as good as one since she won the Oscar, one Juno has made her earn too much. Moreover, with the relationship between Nicole Kidman and Xinhai Pictures will definitely have a lot of cooperation with her in the future. By the way, Simon, I often hear Lord talking about you. Your vision for filmmaking is absolutely genius. Tom Cruise had previously replaced his agent cousin with a CAA veteran, Brian Lord, as the head of CAA. Also gave himself a lot of advice to restore his reputation, of course, is to launch a popular movie, and Simon Pike is a good choice. Lord, I haven't seen him for a long time, but he also mentioned you to me, Simon said, took a sip of coffee. Tom Cruise is a top Hollywood actor. CAA certainly attaches great importance to such customers. By the way, Simon, now Lionsgate Pictures CEO is Paula Wagra. If Xinhai Pictures needs help with distribution, we may be able to provide some small help. You know, Lionsgate's distribution system is now under MGM, and we can still use some of it network of. Tom Cruise of course knows that the most important thing for Xinhai Pictures now is to set up its own distribution network. Although some of the distribution networks that Lionsgate can use are not big, they are still useful. Thank you, Simon accepted in the face of Tom Cruise's favor. In the United States system, those experienced publishers can indeed win in the future. By the way, DreamWorks is shooting the action comedy Tropic Thunder, written and directed by Ben Stiller in Hawaii. You have a cameo in it, right? I've seen your look in the tabloids. It's quite different, yes, Simon said with a smile. After all, Tom Cruise's cameo character was bald and belly, which was very different from the handsome image Tom Cruise smiled helplessly. After the photo was leaked, he had entrusted Lushu to issue a lawyer's letter to the newspaper, and they were not allowed to spread it. DreamWorks is now owned by Paramount, and the release of Tropic Thunder must be done by Paramount. Ben Stiller's comedy talent is still good, and Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., the movie can be expected. Simon said, giving Tom Cruise a meaningful look, and continued, maybe, Mr. Lei Shidan will also watch this movie. Your role in the movie is that of a Hollywood movie boss, and the insinuated image is also very interesting. Tom Cruise is also a smart person, and you can't get into deadlock with Paramount. A tycoon like Summer Redstone wants profit. Tropical Thunder can get closer to the fans by pretending to be ugly. At the same time, it is also to release goodwill to Paramount. The consequences of being publicly accused by Summer Redstone are indeed very serious, and not an actor can bear, not even Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise nodded. Simon understood what he meant, and releasing goodwill to Paramount could only be done by himself. After all, the distribution rights for the series Mission Impossible are all in the hands of Paramount. Simon, I hope we will have the opportunity to cooperate in the future. Tom Cruise's important purpose today is of course this: there is a chance. When the Mission Impossible series is restarted in the future, Xinghai can help with funding. Simon smiled. The fourth Mission Impossible was Tom Cruise's turnaround. Financial. The film group after that tsunami is also poor, and Paramount will not have so much confidence. After all, Paramount in the previous life did not just introduce the funds of David Ellis and Skydance Pictures to start Mission Impossible 4. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136: Night in Venice. Berlin to Venice. With a stopover in France and landing at Venice's Marco Polo International Airport is the pearl of the Adriatic Sea. Venice, the water city, is of course the ancient Venice Film Festival that makes it famous. Sure enough, it's a city on water. Simon, who came to the film festival venue, also sighed, it's really not for nothing. Let's go to the hotel. Tomorrow is the closing ceremony of the Venice Film Festival. We came at just the right time. Sarah Bradna was very happy, and the 6-hour flight time did not seem to be exhausted. Closing ceremony. Simon smiled. This Venice Film Festival is still impressive. The Chinese film Lust and Caution won the Golden Lion Award for Best Film. The Venetian Lido Island is a slender island about 12 kilometers long that runs across the southeast of Venice. It is the venue of the Venice Film Festival, and the island is a well-known international health resort. Otherwise Simon would not have come here for vacation. After arriving at her beachfront villa on Lido Island, Sarah Bradna, despite the exhaustion of her journey, wanted to go to the private sandy beach outside to blow air. Simon still agreed. After all, the night view of the Adriatic Sea is also good. Starlit and neon glowing, Simon and Sarah Bradna lay on the beach together and looked at the sky. Simon, what's the matter? Sarah Bradna turned her head to see Simon Pike staring at the moon in a trance. Oh, nothing. Simon looked at the Adriatic Gulf in front of him, which used to be the Ionian Sea, and then connected to the Mediterranean Sea. Just thinking of his hometown. Sarah, do you understand China? Simon asked suddenly. China? Sarah Bradna shook her head and said, I haven't been there, so I don't know, but there are several Chinese films at the Venice Film Festival that are very popular. I know that in the film Lust, Caution, directed by Ang Lee, he is the best director at the Oscars. Simon smiled. Simon, you don't seem to like this great Chinese director? Sarah Bradna heard from Simon's tone. Chinese, he, like me, is an American citizen. Simon reminded. Sarah Bradna shook her head helplessly and said, Brokeback Mountain, which was filmed by director Ang Lee before, is very good. It's not bad. Now this Lust, Caution is rated as NC-17 by the American MPAA Association. Simon curled his lips, and the Yankees like to call the movement outside. Much thicker than Europe and Asia. Okay, then let's go to see this movie tomorrow, and then go to see. Sarah Bradna said, pressing her head on Simon's body, her sexy body leaning against Simon. Simon nodded. Now the season is excellent in Venice, the weather is pleasant, and it is a good time for tourists to go to see. Sarah, said Simon, holding the girl in his arms and kissing. As the first of the 3 major international film festivals in Europe, the Venice Film Festival is unparalleled in terms of commerciality. The Cannes Film Festival has a greater artistic pursuit, and is a little worse than the Venice Film Festival in business every year. The largest volume of films is traded at the Venice Film Festival, and the most important achievement of the Venice Film Festival is that it has greatly increased the opportunities for film exchanges around the world. Meanwhile, in another hotel on Lido Island, Simon's old friend Harvey Weinstein was sitting on the sofa in his bathrobe, opposite his pimp, Fabrizio Weinstein, the head of the Italian branch. Lombardo. Several good movies seem to have been divided up by Focus Pictures, Fox Searchlight, Sony Classics, Paramount Advantage. Harvey Weinstein touched his head with his fat hand, helpless. Fabrizio Lombardo is simply a person who doesn't understand movies. Anyway, he only needs to be responsible for arranging women for the boss, so he sits silently by the side, wait for the commercial reception. There will be a lot of independent producers participating. We can think of a way. Fabrizio Lombardo couldn't help but reminded, after all, this is Weinstein International Pictures organized, as the head of the Italian region, arranged firsthand. Harvey Weinstein nodded and asked again, Zinghe Pictures doesn't seem to have any works to participate in the exhibition. That's not true. There No Country for Old Men participated in the Cannes Film Festival. As for the upcoming 26 dresses, there is no chance to participate, Fabrizio Lombardo said with a smile. Zinghe Pictures is an important opponent of the boss. Harvey Weinstein frowned. He really couldn't understand. Zinghe Pictures is now bent on building its own distribution network. However, you need to have some movie content in the first place for movie distribution, especially before building a distribution network. You need to stock up on ammunition. Isn't Cannes and Venice a great place to buy and sell movies, Alice? Zinghe Pictures didn't look for a distributor for a few movies next year. I'm going to see how they distribute those movies themselves, Harvey Weinstein smiled. The background is still very important. It's true that the 6 major distributors are vegetarians. Now that Zinghe Pictures movies are so popular, if they release their own movies, there will be one more person in the distribution cake at that time. DreamWorks was extremely powerful, and it was not the 6 major collaborations that most movies were looking for. By the way, I heard that Simon Parker's focus is now on Wall Street. He doesn't pay much attention to Zinghe Entertainment. He invests in hedge funds on Wall Street. I heard that this time he seems to have invested all his net worth, Fabry said. Zio Lombardo reminded Wall Street, he invested in It's just a technology company that has successfully invested in a technology company, and I think I can play on Wall Street. It's really over the top, and it's not in film investment, Harvey Weinstein laughed. It's better that the guy goes bankrupt, and then gives Zinghe Pictures to the company. Best to sell. Fabrizio Lombardo also smiled and nodded. After all, for the elites of Wall Street, in the gold field, these people in Hollywood are of course not enough to watch, but in terms of film investment and subsequent benefits, these people in Hollywood are not enough. The film company can play with the elites of Wall Street, produce, promote, distribute, and the accounts of each link have a story. By the way, it seems that Nicole Kidman is also in Venice. Fabrizio Lombardo reminded again. I think Miramax helped her launch a few good movies. Now that she has Zinghe Entertainment as a backer, she no longer takes Weinstein Pictures seriously, Harvey Weinstein said. Just angry, Nicole Kidman dared to be so cold to herself during the Miramax period. Forget it, let's go, Harvey Weinstein said, waving his hand. Chapter 137. Harvey and Amp Ambition. Nicole Kidman is indeed on this side of the Venice Film Festival. Not just her but Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett played Bob Dylan in the biopic I'm Not There and was nominated for Best Actress at the 64th Venice International Film Festival. The 2 Australian actors were in a restaurant at this time. Nicole Kidman was here to promote the movie Deadly Visit starring Daniel Craig. Deadly Visit was released in North America in August, and the word-of-mouth box office was high. Not so good, can only hope in overseas markets. By the way, You're the Curious Case of Benjamin Button is over. Are you really going to go back to Australia to run an opera house for a while? Nicole Kidman asked the person sitting opposite while drinking coffee. Cate Blanchett nodded and said with a smile, I should go back and recharge, and find the feeling of acting on the stage. Not bad, Alice. Nicole Kidman said inside. After all, he is in a very bad situation. The first movie Fatal Visit released this year is still played by the new James Bond. It was co-authored by Daniel K. Rieger, and I didn't expect that the word of mouth and box office were not good. As for the magical children's giant golden compass developed by New Line Pictures, which will be released in the next Christmas period, the investment is close to $200 million, and it also stars Daniel Craig. Nicole Kidman has been under a lot of pressure in recent years, and the curse of the Oscar-winning actress is so powerful. By the way, Nicole, it's been in the papers recently that Simon Pike plunged into the Wall Street stock market. You have a good relationship with him. He's now delegating the follow-up to The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the first producer of this movie. Cate Blanchett doesn't know much about the situation on Wall Street, but she still cares about the movie. Hey, I don't know. I saw it in Los Angeles before, and he recommended me to invest in a small-budget literary film, Nicole Kidman said and continued, I know that he has a nine-headed bird fund company that operates his assets, and then launched a private equity fund called Phoenix Fund. Part of my assets are handed over to Phoenix Fund for management. Nicole Kidman may really be. I should be glad that I helped Simon Parker to develop the successful movie Juno, which not only made me a lot of money, but also allowed Simon Parker to open up the glory of Xinghai Pictures before Simon suggested that he sell some properties as soon as possible. Sure enough, the prices of the properties are starting to fall, so it is. Cate Blanchett can only congratulate Nicole Kidman. In the past 3 years, Xinghai Pictures has prospered under the leadership of Simon Pike, and the rising momentum is so obvious. Nicole Kidman's current influence is much greater than her own, her exposure is immeasurable, and the awards even have the top title of Oscar for Best Actress. By the way, your reverse performance in I'm Not There is great, and it is very likely that you will win the Best Actress at the Venice Film Festival. Nicole Kidman herself just came to promote the movie as an invited guest. Cate Blanchett is competing. Just as Nicole Kidman finished speaking, the female assistant came over and said a few words in Nicole Kidman's ear. Nicole Kidman frowned, then smiled. I'll go take a call. Harvey, is something wrong? Nicole Kidman said in a non-salty tone, and it was Harvey Weinstein who called. Nothing important. I heard that you came to Venice too. We are holding a small private reception here. How about you come and meet everyone? A voice came from the other end of the phone. Is that so? However, I have something to do now, and I have a movie promotion meeting to attend tomorrow. Why don't I have a chance to talk about it later? Nicole Kidman is now about to draw a line from this guy, otherwise, you will really lose the thigh of Xinghai Pictures. You. Harvey Weinstein hung up the phone angrily and declined. Harvey Weinstein, who was standing in the aisle, patted the wall and was really angry. Nicole Kidman is completely disrespectful to herself, and she doesn't come to dinner or the small cocktail party afterwards. Harvey Weinstein entered the room to continue chatting with director Rob Marshall about a movie. 9. Rob Marshall's 2002 musical Chicago won the Oscar for Best Picture, and 9 is also a musical. Weinstein Pictures and Relativity Entertainment invested in production and distribution, of course, was done by Weinstein Pictures. Rob Marshall directed Sony's Memoirs of a Geisha in 2005, which failed at the box office. And this time he returned to the musical film he was good at and wanted to revive it. Rob, isn't the $90 million budget too high? Harvey Weinstein knocked on the table. Although Relativity Entertainment will participate in the investment, but such a musical, such a high budget. Harvey, I hope to use the most suitable actors for the film, and the scene construction should also meet the requirements of the film. This budget is really not high. Rob Marshall, who has won the Oscar for Best Director, a film Chicago has proven itself. The current 9 can certainly create the success of Chicago back then. And it was Harvey Weinstein's Miramax who made Chicago at that time. Chicago is currently the highest-grossing film released by Harvey Weinstein, and he is still very confident in Rob Marshall's musical. It's the $90 million budget, which is indeed a bit high. Just considering the investment in relativistic entertainment, Weinstein Pictures has to pay a lot of money. Okay, let's start preparing. Harvey Weinstein said. After all, among the independent films now, Xinghai Films' reputation is getting bigger and bigger, and several films that have been independently invested have achieved success. A little-known director, Xinghai Pictures dared to invest $60 million to develop Spartan 300 Warriors for him. The same Frank Miller comic book adaptation of Sin City has a budget of only $40 million, but it has the trademark of Quentin Tarantino. Can Zack Snyder compare to Quentin Tarantino? Cannot. Harvey Weinstein must not let Xinghai Pictures overtake Weinstein Pictures. He is the king of independent films. Miramax's glory can definitely be reproduced in Weinstein Pictures. 9 is the masterpiece that Weinstein Pictures sounded the horn. Chapter 138. The Future Goalkeeper. The award ceremony follows the grand closing red carpet of the Venice Film Festival. Of course, Simon has no interest in these. At this moment, Simon is leisurely lying on a chair on the yacht deck, drinking champagne while enjoying the beautiful view of the Adriatic Sea. Sarah Bradner was lying beside Simon. "Very comfortable, it's a really good place," Simon said, taking off his sunglasses. "The blue sky and white clouds, the blue sea and the breeze are indeed an attractive place. No wonder Mussolini was going to hold a film festival in Venice." Sarah Bradner stood up and walked to the railing, her devilish figure set off by her blonde hair flying in the wind, and asked, "Simon, how long are we staying here?" 3 days. "Didn't you say that Bayern Munich played against Schalke 04 at the Allianz Arena on the 15th? Simon asked back. "It's good to go back to Germany and go to Munich to watch this game. Bayern Munich's Allianz, the stadium is very good." "Oh, that's fine." Sarah Bradner felt that the vacation in Venice was more enjoyable, but Simon seemed to be really interested in football. Simon is also planning to go to Germany to scour those future great gods. How can he not watch the Bayern Munich game? There will be no such leisure time in the future. In the evening, Simon and Sarah Bradner returned to the hotel, and the 64th Venice Film Festival ended perfectly. Chinese film Lust and Caution won the Golden Lion Award for Best Film. Brad Pitt won Best Actor for Death of a Sharpshooter. Kate Blanchett won Best Actress for I'm Not There. This time, the chairman of the jury of the Venice Film Festival is Chinese director Zhang Yimou. The awarding of the Golden Lion Award to Lust and Caution has also suffered a lot of pressure from the media. "Brad Pitt is my favorite Hollywood actor." Sarah Bradner looked at the news, a little surprised. It's a coincidence that Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett won the Best Actor and Actress awards respectively. Simon was also a little surprised. After all, they had just finished filming The Curious Case of Benjamin Button for themselves. "Well, it's coming out next year," Simon said, looking up just to see George Clooney's Omega Watch commercial playing on TV. Alice. Simon gets angry as soon as he sees this guy, and calls for boycotting the Beijing Olympics every day. These messy shouts in an interview with the BBC. It was revealed that the Swatch Group, which Omega belongs to, should not support the Beijing Olympics. Swatch Group, the leader of the Swiss Watch Group, is the chronograph cooperative watch of these Olympic Games. You, an ambassador of Omega Watches under the Swatch Group, think about these things every day. What's the matter, Simon? I heard you didn't get along with George Clooney. Sarah Bradner, of course, knew that Simon Peck had scolded George Clooney for his fake feminist and fake politics at the Oscars. "Oh, it's just an actor. I don't care. I'm thinking that next year's Beijing Olympics should be very grand. After all, China is not a bunch of Australians and Greeks who don't understand anything. They have a history of 5,000 years, Simon said. For the previous XN Olympics, the Athens Olympics did not feel much. Although the Beijing Olympics are indeed quite grand, the Beijing government has indeed spent a lot of money. Okay, let's have dinner and watch Lust, Caution, and I'm looking forward to winning the Golden Lion Award," Sarah Bradner said and kissed Simon on the face. Lust and Caution. Simon really doesn't feel much about this movie. It's nothing more than a gimmick for a few large-scale sex scenes. Simon Parker and Sarah Bradner returned to Germany after 3 days of fun in the water city of Venice. But it's not Berlin, but another city, Munich. After all, life and death doesn't need Simon to watch all the time. Munich is the capital of the German state of Bavaria, the largest city in southern Germany, and the third largest city in Germany after Berlin and Hamburg. The Allianz Arena in Munich, just north of Munich, looks like a huge rubber dinghy, with nearly 3,000 plastic air cushions on the outer wall that emit different colors of light that change with the team in the game. On 9.15, Bayern Munich played against Schalke 04 at home. Sarah Bradner brought Simon to the Allianz Arena and entered the reserved private box. The Allianz Stadium is the top football stadium in Europe. Construction started in October 2002 and was completed in February 2005. The two Munich teams, Bayern Munich and Munich 1860, both invested in the stadium. The two teams share the stadium. Sarah Bradner educates Simon about it. Simon nodded. He could only watch it on TV before, but he didn't expect the real facts to come to the scene. Now at 3:30 p.m., Bayern Munich's match against Schalke 04 started. Bayern is now the Bundesliga champion, but last season Bayern Munich was only fourth in the league and did not even qualify for the Champions League. Bayern Munich's head coach is now Ottmar Hitzfeld, only because Bayern Munich's results were so poor last season. As a result, the team has undergone drastic reforms. The team has signed a total of 8 players, and as many as 9 have been sold, fired and leased. Among them, The most important signings were Luca Toni from Fiorentina, Miroslava Klose from Werder Bremen and Frank Ribéry from Marseille's. Oliver Kahn is 38 years old and still serves as the main goalkeeper of Bayern. It's amazing. Simon seems to remember that Kahn should be in these 2 years of retirement one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Kahn is not retiring, Sarah Bradner said. Simon smiled. In fact, this time the focus was not on the goalkeeper of Bayern Munich, but the main goalkeeper of Schalke 04, 21-year-old Manuel Neuer. Now that Manuel Neuer has become the main force at Schalke for a year or two, Simon will buy a Premier League club in the future. Manuel Neuer ranks first in the choice of goalkeeper. Wow, Ribéry's great, screamed Sarah Bradner next to her. Simon looked at brother Scar. Bayern Munich should be about to bring Robin over, and then the two wings will fly together. Then Simon stopped for a while on another Bayern Munich player, Bastian Schweinsteiger. Sarah Bradner suddenly said at this time, Simon, I seem to have met Bastian Schweinsteiger in a stationery store in Munich in May this year. Oh. Chapter 139 The Feeling of Heartbeat. Bayern Munich played a 1-1 draw against Schalke 04. Simon is still very calm about the current Bayern Munich. After all, it is not as strong as in the Champions League in the future. Simon, are you a Bayern fan? Sarah Bradner asked with her arms around Simon, and the two were lying on the bed in the hotel room at the moment. Bayern fans? Not really, just in the Bundesliga, you know it better. Other leagues are the same, there are always one or two clubs you are more familiar with. Simon laughed. After all, fans are definitely not counted. Really up, Simon can be regarded as a Chelsea fan, Chelsea under Mourinho. However, you are quite familiar with a lot of players, Sarah Bradner now believes. As an American, Simon Parker does like football a bit. I've always wanted to be the owner of a football club. Simon's culture, sports and entertainment empire. With the culture and entertainment industry, of course, the industry of the sports and entertainment empire is indispensable. By the way, Simon, aren't you going to China to watch the Olympics next year? Can I accompany you there? Sarah Bradner looked longingly. Well, it should be possible, but we need to see the time. After all, I am not just going to the Olympics. Simon wants to go to the Olympics, of course. There are other purposes. The Asian film industry should be laid out. Everything needs to be after dealing with the distribution network in North America. In fact, it's not bad to bring Sarah Bradner. It's low-key enough. Otherwise you have to bring a few female stars to accompany you. Anyway, Blake Lively or Emily Blunt is equally low-key, and no one knows there anyway. The first season of Gossip Girl won't let Blake Lively go to China, will it? Simon. Sarah Bradner said, getting into the quilt after a few days in Munich. Simon is back in Berlin, and of course it's not that there's something wrong with life and death, it's that Bennett Eisinger, the chairman of Constantin Pictures, invited himself to Fantastic Four to premiere in Germany. Simon, we at Constantine and many Hollywood studios have worked together, the Fantastic Four series, the Resident Evil series, the Detective Hell, and so on, all of which are good, Bennett said. Eisinger is a well-known German director. In 1977, he became a shareholder of Constantine Pictures. After that, Constantine Pictures was acquired by German Focus Communications Group and listed in Frankfurt in 1999. Constantine Pictures is also headquartered in Frankfurt. I know this. I know about the capabilities of Constantin Pictures in Germany. Simon sat on the sofa with Bennett Eisinger outside the red carpet of Fantastic Four 2. Constantine Pictures is rich. I don't know how much copyright it has hoarded in the early years. Of course, with the energy of Constantine Pictures, we cannot send it to the world and find several major film groups in the United States to cooperate and jointly invest in production and distribution. Simon, this cooperation with Xinghai Pictures will definitely be very pleasant. Bennett Eisinger of course wanted to get the exclusive rights of Xinghai Pictures movies in Germany, but it's hard to talk about it. Simon is of course unwilling. Germany is the largest economy in Europe. In the future, Xinghai Pictures will definitely set up its own international film distribution branch in countries and regions in Western Europe. How can Constantine Films be allowed to? It is issued by an industry agent, Mr. Eisinger. I think Berlin is too low-key. Compared with other European cities such as Paris, London, and Rome, it seems too mysterious. Simon changed the subject and talked about the low-key feeling of Berlin, the capital of Germany. Hey, you know, our capital was built on ruins, and so are many other cities, Bennett Eisinger sighed. After all, Germany was occupied by the Soviet Union in World War II. The virtue of the old man. Anyway, everyone knows that. Simon smiled, raised the glass and touched Bennett Eisinger. It's all over, isn't it? Germany is the strongest in Europe now. Then, Simon's phone rang, and after beckoning to Bennett Isinger, he walked to a quiet room on the other side of the theater and answered the phone. Nancy, what's wrong? It was from Nancy Davis in New York. After all, there is a 6-hour time difference between Berlin and New York, and it's just afternoon there. Simon, Fannie Mae's stock price has dropped from $70 to $55. If we close our positions now, we will have a 20% gain. Nancy Davis was clearly excited. 10x leverage of $1 billion, 20% earnings. This is just over half a month. 20% of the income is just like this. This is not good. How much can you earn after deducting commissions and transaction taxes? A little more than $1 billion. Simon of course disagreed. Continue to hold. This time the stock price has dropped so much, the government will definitely make a statement, and there may be a short-term rebound after that, but don't make a fuss. We will continue to hold, at least until the end of the year or the beginning of next year, then it will be a feast. Nancy Davis sits at the desk in her office at the Nine-Headed Bird Fund, New York, opposite Adam Root, the number-sensitive fund manager who told Simon that he had previously suffered from autism. Continue to hold. Adam, you pay attention to those parameters at any time, and always pay attention to various news from the Federal Reserve or the White House. Nancy Davis can't go against Simon's meaning. After all, this is a predetermined strategy, and now it is indeed follow the previous strategy development. Okay, Ms. Davis, in fact, I also think that the situation this time seems to be really serious. No one can expect the consequences caused by the bursting of the housing bubble, Adam Root said simply, according to the data analysis. As for political considerations, he has nothing to do. Nancy Davis nodded. Would the U.S. government really allow the bubble to burst? I can't imagine how serious the consequences will be. Nancy Davis in New York is really in shock right now, while Simon Pike, who is in Berlin for the premiere of Fantastic Four 2, is enjoying the movie. For Simon, the biggest attraction for the two Fantastic Four is the sexy and beautiful Jessica Alba. The premiere here in Berlin was held by Constantine Pictures, and the director and starring actors also have come. Simon got up and went to the toilet. After washing his face, he just came out, only to find Jessica Alba wearing a sexy green evening dress from the same women's toilet. Jessica, you are so beautiful. Anyway, Simon's words are true now. Chapter 140. Exciting October. In a suite in a 5-star hotel in Berlin, Simon Parker hugs the petite Jessica Alba with a chocolate-like glow of wheat-colored skin and a rosy face. After passion, Jessica Alba nestled in Simon's arms like a bird. By the way, the specific report of My Honest Company has been prepared, and it was made by the management staff who specially consulted. When will I show it to you? Jessica Alba said, rubbing Jessica Alba's smooth back. Simon nodded. It was a trivial matter anyway, and Jessica Alba has been voted the world's sexiest actress by the magazine for the past 2 years. You still have a time management company? You have 5 movies released this year, Simon said and smiled. Jessica Alba is definitely a qualified vase, acting or something. That should not be considered. I won't be so busy in the future. Jessica Alba also knows her position, but a simple vase is not enough. She is only responsible for sexy and beautiful in the movie. The most important role at present is the Wonder Woman series. Invisible Girl, I heard that you insisted that you can't be naked in Sin City. This principle is not bad. Simon was a little relieved. After all, in the movie Sin City, female actors basically have nude scenes. I can show off sexy, but I won't take off my clothes. It's always been my insistence, Jessica Alba said seriously. Immediately, Jessica Alba said helplessly, there should be no third film in the Fantastic Four series. 20th Century Fox is not satisfied with the word of mouth and box office of the second film now released. Simon really can't say anything. After all, Fantastic Four 2 is indeed a bad party. A few of your actors' trilogy contracts have been cancelled? Simon remembered that when the first film was released, Constantine Pictures and 20th Century Fox announced that they would make the Fantastic Four into a trilogy of it's cancelled. Jessica Alba can take a break after finishing her Fantastic Four 2 promotion. By the way, did you take part in a horror movie Ghost released by Lionsgate this year? Simon asked suddenly. Jessica Alba nodded and explained, it seems to be a flop Chinese movie, co-produced by Paramount Advantage and Cruise Wagner Pictures, Tom Cruise's film production company. Simon thought for a while, and with the participation of Paramount, it seems that the relationship between Tom Cruise and Paramount has indeed begun to ease. After all, Tom Cruise also made a cameo appearance in Paramount's DreamWorks movie Tropic Thunder, isn't it, Ms. Paula Wagner is now the CEO of United Artists, But this film was produced by Cruz Wagner Pictures and Paramount Advantage, distributed by Lionsgate, and has nothing to do with United Artists. Jessica Alba continued to explain I know. Simon shook his head helplessly. Of course it was clear I just mentioned this remake of the American version of Hell when I was chatting with the executives of Lionsgate, because it was flopped from the horror movie Hell of the Chinese directors Peng Shun and Peng Fa brothers. Simon was a little impressed. By the way, I'll find you when I get back to Los Angeles, Simon said, and he kissed Jessica Alba's lips, only to hear the girl's own voice. Simon Parker spent 3 more days in Germany because of sexy Jessica Alba afterwards. Simon put down Xinghai Entertainment and returned to New York, waiting for the angel to come to the United States at the end of September. Housing prices in the U.S. fell sharply, and the subprime mortgage crisis began. The government's various policies on subprime mortgage bonds have indeed moderated the falling share price of the two houses, from the previous $55 per share to more than $60 per share from the end of September to October. The shares of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which were shorted by the Nine-Headed Bird Fund, always went up and down, jumping from $55 to $70 a share. Simon, my heart is under a lot of pressure every day now, Nancy Davis complained to Simon with a tense expression on the sofa. Hell, look at how much housing prices in Las Vegas and some parts of Florida have fallen, not to mention blue-collar residential areas, new development areas, and even the wealthy areas have dropped a lot. All because of the industry. One single reason. Simon leaned back in his chair, looking flat. The White House's policy is mainly 3 points. From the perspective of supply, it strictly controls the construction permit of houses. From the perspective of demand, it tightens mortgages and introduces more and more strict loan conditions. From the evaluation of housing prices, provisions for the use of a third party, a bank or any interested party, cannot appoint and influence a home appraiser. Simon Pike laughed, looked at Nancy Davis, and told the present facts with a "would you believe this would work?" Look, Simon, yesterday Fannie Mae's stock price exceeded $70 for a period of time, and the highest was $71.25. Why is Nancy Davis always tense? Because the bet is too big this time. If the stock price goes up at $77 a share, the Nine-Headed Bird Fund will be forced to liquidate and lose all. I'm also nervous. At that time, I really didn't expect the stock price of Liang Fang to rise to $70. Simon is not lying. This is his own $1 billion. Fannie Mae was at $70 a share at that time. Simon thought it was a very high price. I hope the stock price will drop soon, said Nancy Davis, although in American, if the financial crisis described by Simon broke out, the Nine-Headed Bird Foundation would become a shining star fund on Wall Street at that time. Phoenix Fund, a private equity fund, will definitely attract a large amount of money, and it will manage a powerful private equity fund. Coupled with a personal asset management company Nine-Headed Bird Fund, which is backed by Simon Parker, the future is bright. Of course, the premise is that the subprime mortgage crisis broke out in full, and the real estate bubble in the United States was directly punctured in a period of time when Nancy Davis was reverie. Simon Pike looked at the high-rise buildings out of the window, and seemed to see many investors and financiers who jumped off the buildings to become trapeze in the future. Finally, on the eve of the storm, my dream has gone one step further, Simon meditated in his heart. As for the trivial matter of how many people will die in the United States, of course, he chose not to remember. Chapter 141. In the middle and late October of 2007, the market seems to have returned to calm, and the housing price has also rebounded slightly. Is the economic depression gone? Simon knew that this was the last calm of the storm, and Nancy Davis' nervousness became more and more tense at the same time. The salvation trio of U.S. Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson, Federal Reserve Chairman and Great Depression economist Ben Bernanke, and New York Reserve Bank President Timothy Geithner also began frequent operations at this time. Simon Parker did not pay too much attention. Along with BNP Paribas, the German industrial bank reported a large number of losses of funds involved in real estate mortgages. The 10th largest mortgage lender in the United States, the American Home Mortgage Investment Corporation, also filed for bankruptcy in the court protection, becoming the second large-scale residential mortgage loan company to go bankrupt this year after New Century Financial Corporation. At the beginning of November, Bear Stearns, the fifth largest investment bank in the United States, announced the collapse of two of its funds. Mizuho Group, the parent company of Mizuho Bank, the second largest bank in RB, Northern Rock Bank, the fifth largest mortgage lender in the United Kingdom, and other companies including Worry. 5 South Korean banks, Merrill Lynch, Citibank and the United Arab Emirates Sovereign Fund, and many other bank funds involved in subprime mortgage loans in the United States all suffered large losses. The crisis broke out, and the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the RB Central Bank and the Australian Central Bank successively injected funds into the market. The stock price of real estate-related companies plunged due to the cliff-like fall in housing prices, and the cold winter of Wall Street has begun. New York, Manhattan. The musical adaptation of Notre Dame is being performed at a theater on Lender Avenue in Tribeca, Lower CX. Just as Simon Parker was sitting in the private room on the second floor, enjoying the musical wholeheartedly, Nancy Davis came in with a look of excitement, walked up to Simon, and whispered, "The stock price of Fannie Mae has fallen below $50. I can't stop now, sit down, I know." Simon nodded slightly, looking directly at the duet between the actress who played Esmeralda and Quasimodo, who played the bell ringer on the stage. "This Notre Dame de Paris is my favorite musical based on a literary masterpiece. The high pitch is sweet, the tenor is accurate, and the bass is deep. These stage actors are still good," Simon said about the stage play introduced. Nancy Davis looked helpless. Under the current circumstances, how could she still be in the mood to listen to a musical? However, the big boss is in a good mood now, and Nancy Davis has no choice but to nod in agreement. "This theater." Simon looked around the city and smiled. "This location is also good, because of the impact of the 9/11 incident. The economy of the entire triangle was in a downturn before, and now it has encountered the subprime mortgage crisis after recovery. Look like a lot of Broadway theaters are struggling. Nancy, let someone find out which group this land belongs to. The old commercial building where the theater is located should be demolished." Simon, what do you mean?" Nancy Davis is really confused this time. "This land, for Simon smiled and said, "This place is not only very artistic, but also close to the financial circle of Wall Street. I will build a Zinghe building here in the future as my headquarters." Simon had already thought about it, a comprehensive commercial housing skyscrapers, the New York branch of Zinghe Pictures, the headquarters of Zingchen Records, the headquarters of the Nine-Headed Bird Fund and the headquarters of companies such as The Future are located in this skyscraper in the Tribeca district. In the future, the house prices here will be more expensive than the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Sure enough, the price of the place where the stars live will rise faster. Build a skyscraper here? That's... Nancy Davis just wanted to say that it was an investment of hundreds of millions of dollars, but immediately thought of the Nine-Headed Bird Fund's $1 billion 10x leverage to short the two-bedroom stock. It is indeed possible for him. The chaos in the market has already appeared, and the stocks of the two houses will become waste paper. Wait, the consequences of the subprime mortgage crisis will cause the stock market to plummet like mercury. The end of the year, or the beginning of next year, is the time for our first wave of harvest. At that time, if you can, directly short the Dow Jones. Simon seemed very dull, but when the stock market fell, it should not be easy to find a betting institution. Nancy Davis nodded, now absolutely trusting Simon. "Since you think this time will trigger a global economic depression, we can indeed deploy it in advance. After all, if we deploy one day earlier, we will have an extra income." Nancy Davis is a good executor. Simon nodded, and suddenly asked, "Is there anything unusual about the Madoff investment fund that made you pay attention before?" Nancy Davis shook her head and explained, "The Madoff investment fund just lowered the yield for the quarter." Simon can't deny it. It seems that he will have to wait until next year to see the collapse of the giant scam of the century. When those investors need to find this guy to get their funds back, it will be his doom. 26 Dresses is the third film released this year produced by Zinghe Pictures, and the schedule is 11.18. Emily Blunt recently wrapped filming on Sunshine Wash and is about to join the cast of Scott Rudin's Child of Your Stout. Simon Pike hugs Emily Blunt in the bathroom bidet at the New York Hilton. Simon, is No Country for Old Men starting overseas? Emily Blunt asked. Yes, it's being released. The North American box office has $7 or $8 million, Simon said with a smile. Spartan 300 Warriors has exceeded $400 million worldwide, and now No Country for Old Men is also doing well. Income from The Devil Wears Prada in the home entertainment market, such as DVD and TV broadcasts, is also coming in one after another. No wonder film companies look at the home entertainment market like this. It is indeed a small investment and a big return. Sustained income is still very important to the company of Emily Blunt turned around, put her arms around Simon's neck, kissed him, and then said with some jealousy, "You were photographed with Jessica Alba by reporters in Germany?" Happened to meet. Well, Jessica Alba has a boyfriend, said Emily Blunt, smiling. "There are more scandals about you in the newspapers now." "Never mind," Simon said, wrapping his arms around Emily Blunt's waist and kissing the girl's lips. The next day, Simon got up from Emily Blunt's warm bed and was back in Los Angeles that day because a major event in Hollywood that was almost forgotten by Simon happened at this time. Chapter 142: Screenwriters Strike. Simon is so nervous to return to Los Angeles because the Hollywood screenwriters are on strike. "Simon, this is a serious matter. The Producers Guild and the Writers Guild have been negotiating for 3 months without an agreement," Nina Jacobson reported in Simon's office. Simon nodded, and he really forgot about it now, but fortunately, some scripts from the company had been adapted earlier. "Today is the day when the writers are preparing to strike and demonstrate?" Simon said, looking at his watch. "Number 11.5. Nina Jacobson nodded and explained, "Yes, today, the two major screenwriters unions in the East and the West started to strike at the same time. The Writers Guild of America has the Eastern Writers Guild, headquartered in New York, and the Western Writers Guild, headquartered in Los Angeles. What about our project? Shouldn't it have much impact?" Simon asked. "We've already found screenwriters for the movie scripts of Superman, Hancock, Fake Marriage, Weakness, and The Story of Hachiko," Nina Jacobson said clearly. "Even Thor and the biographical adaptation of The Wolf of Wall Street are not finished yet." "That's okay, enough. This writer's strike shouldn't last as long as it did in 1988, Simon was relieved. The film project was not greatly affected. However, the 2 TV series we produced, Breaking Bad and Modern Family, were affected, and fortunately the follow-up to the first season of Gossip Girl has been settled." Nina Jacobson is also considered to be rest assured, the company has not suffered too much loss because of the screenwriters' strike. The most influential should be the TV stations belonging to the 6 major groups. However, the 6 major film studios should also put some films on hold because of the project. The chairman of the producer union and the chairman of the screenwriters union are also holding their own opinions, but the main dispute is the point is still in the screenwriting points for the DVD market. Nina Jacobson continued. "As expected, the screenwriters union will always have a trouble every few years. Labor disputes." Simon leaned back in his chair. "Although the DVD market is starting to decline now, the revenue is definitely higher than the box office revenue. The DVD revenue that the Screenwriters Guild could receive was 3%, and they wanted to increase it, but the Producers Union, which represents the film company, refused to agree, believing that this ratio was not low. After all, screenwriters were not qualified to buy from the home entertainment market a long time ago. Those who get the benefits," Nina Jacobson, who is also the owner now, spoke to the studio. "Of course, so, it's normal. The current economic environment is not good, but the writers' union chose to strike and demonstrate in November. The time is good. The autumn episodes of major TV stations are over, and the spring episodes are being prepared." Simon seemed a little bit schadenfreude. After all, the main members of the 2 major screenwriters unions in the East and West must be mainly TV, and it is estimated that many TV episodes will be stranded. "Simon, we Xinghai Pictures are in the production alliance. What do you think?" Nina Jacobson asked. "What do I think?" Simon smiled and said, "Viacom Group announced its exclusive support for HD DVD, and received almost $300 million in benefits from the HD Alliance headed by Toshiba and Microsoft, and an 18-month exclusive agreement, Paramount, DreamWorks, Paramount Television and MTV Cable. Narragain Kids will all be releasing HD DVD only in HD for the next 18 months, $300 million to buy an 18-month exclusive release agreement. You should be able to see the weight of the DVD market now. The Writers' Union will definitely not give up until the goal is achieved." Of course, what Simon didn't say is that Paramount Group's Transformers this year and its DreamWorks Animation's Shrek 3 are also only released on HD DVD. However, due to the rise of online video, DVD is indeed shrinking, but the DVD sales of some good movies have not decreased much. After all, the theater release of some movies is the best advertisement in the DVD market. "So, are we on the same side as the Producers Alliance?" Nina Jacobson asked. We don't have our own distribution channels, and we are small in size. It doesn't matter what we say or do," Simon laughed. "But, Simon, now we have made several successful films at Xinghai Pictures, and we already have a foothold in the industry. This time I specially called you back to speak up." Nina Jacobson suggested. "Of course, the annual output value of Hollywood's entertainment industry exceeds $30 billion. The losses caused by the strike of the Screenwriters Union are not small. The consequences of such losses are still very serious. Not only Los Angeles, but the whole state of California is very painful. Simon felt, this year's economic situation is also one of the more compensation for these screenwriters in Hollywood. The mayor, as well as our star governor, will do everything they can to reduce the duration of the strike, Simon said of the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course, the profits of the new film media market are getting bigger and bigger now than in the early years. The Screenwriters Union has been planning for a long time. Every day of strike is a lot of money. In 1988, 20 years ago, the 22-week strike lasted for 22 weeks. Hollywood lost $500 million. The screenwriters at the time were fighting for a point of profit distribution on the new film channel. Today's strike was near the studios of Warner Brothers and Sony. Nina Jacobson said there should be a lot of TV shooting studios in their studio area. Simon was really gloating. Warner Brothers TV production company is the largest TV production base. Alice, I don't know how long this strike will last. In any case, Nina Jacobson still doesn't hope that this writers' strike will last for a long time. After all, many projects cannot be carried out without writers. 1 or 2 months are indispensable. If the producers' union does not make concessions, this matter will be difficult to end. Simon knew the result of the strike, which lasted for more than 2 months and ended in January next year. The Screenwriters Guild, the share of revenue from the DVD market rose from 3% to 3.5%. Nina Jacobson nodded. Anyway, there are large studios in front of them, and Xinghai Pictures is just a small shrimp among them. 26 Dresses is our last film this year, and it's good to focus on this film now. As for the writers' strike, we should wait and see how the two alliances will negotiate next. There will definitely be many people who will come out to mediate. Simon felt that he should speak at the right time, and the final result could not be reversed anyway. However, it is still early, and things are not serious enough. After all, the strike has only just begun. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Fundraising Dinner. Los Angeles, Beverly Hills. Simon is sitting on the balcony reading the newspaper. Hollywood never lacks news. Blake Lively came out of the room and sat beside Simon, and said with a smile, "Watching entertainment news? Haven't you been interested in this kind of news?" Simon did hold a copy of The Hollywood Reporter, handed it to Blake Lively and said, "Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were attacked at the door of their villa yesterday afternoon. Here comes the shooting of unknown people. It's just that no one was hurt. Is that so?" Blake Lively hurriedly looked at it and said in surprise, "Here's a Middle Eastern American who's been arrested. Oh, this kind of thing actually happened in Beverly Hills." It seems that some of Angelina Jolie's remarks have offended a lot of people recently. Simon still knows some of these things. Angelina Jolie in the interview, Jolie called on the United States to increase its armed forces against the Iraqi reactionaries. Iraq has become a ruin, and she wants to continue the war there in the future. The phrase Angelina Jolie shouted in Syria, which was in ruins after the war. Although they lost their homeland, they were free. It really makes sense. This guy is really a wonderful flower. Blake Lively looked at Simon and knew he didn't like political stars. It seems Angelina Jolie is that kind of person. By the way, Simon, it's been a few days since the writers' strike. Will the second season of Gossip Girl be affected? Blake Lively changed the subject. After all, the first season of Gossip Girl had already let Blake Lively taste it. To the sweetness of popularity, rest assured, we still have a few episodes left of our first season, and when we make our second season next year, the strike will definitely be over, Simon said with a smile. Youth icons Blake Lively and Jennifer Smith, Queen S online with Queen B. Well, Blake Lively was relieved to hear this. By the way, I'm going to a friend's movie premiere later. Do you have time to go? What movie? Simon should really accompany Blake Lively now. After all, he was left out. It's called The Garage, and it's from Summit Entertainment. Rachel Nichols and I worked together on Summer of Jeans 2 this year, and Garage is her main movie this year, Blake said. After all, Lively explained, Garage was just a low-budget horror movie with sexy beauties and horror elements as gimmicks. Peak Entertainment. Simon pondered that Xinghai Pictures is now buying the bonds of Peak Entertainment, which is the first acquisition target of Xinghai Pictures at this time. The beautiful Colombian butler sent by Sofia Vergara came. "Sir, this is an invitation letter from someone," Simon takes a look at the fundraising dinner hosted by David Griffin for Mario at his Beverly Hills mansion. My dear, I can't accompany you to the movie premiere tonight, Simon said apologetically and shook the invitation letter in his hand. He has donated more than $1 million to Mario. As one of the three giants who established the DreamWorks Group, David Griffin is a veritable billionaire. Griffin Music Group sold it to Universal Music's predecessor, MCA Music, and made a lot of money. Okay, I'll wait for you at home that night. Blake Lively didn't have any objections. It was just the premiere of a small-budget movie anyway. David Griffin's villa in Brentwood, Los Angeles, is large and very grand. When night fell, Simon came here, and David Griffin looked like a very kind old man, and he was very low-key. Simon, you are finally here, but I haven't seen you for a long time recently. David Griffin and Simon of course knew each other. I haven't been in Los Angeles recently, but unlike you, I'm retired now, and I just do what I like every day. Simon and David Griffin touched glasses, although David Griffin was in charge of the DreamWorks system in the music department, but in fact it was equivalent to an investor. After all, he was in semi-retirement at that time. The executive management of DreamWorks is also mainly carried out by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is in charge of DreamWorks Animation. By the way, Simon, you also graduated from USC. You should go back and have a look when you have time. David Griffin recently donated another sum of money to his alma mater, USC. Simon nodded. Anyway, there is time to talk about it later. Looking around, sure enough, many stars were present, especially the proportion of black stars: Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, etc. At a glance, Simon began to worry about the future of black politics in Hollywood. Before long, David Griffin and Simon meet together. Thank you for your support, Mr. Simon Pike. I admire you very much. After hearing about David, Mario smiled and shook hands with Simon. Just call me Simon. I also support and oppose war. After all, world peace is the best. Simon also laughed. After all, Mario's campaign slogan was to oppose the Iraq War and establish universal health care. By the way, I'm not very familiar with Hollywood. It seems that Hollywood is in trouble right now. Mario was talking about the current writers' strike. Simon, now the national economy is in a downturn, and the Hollywood market is a very important market. I really hope this will pass as soon as possible. Simon smiled. She said, actually, it's nothing, it's just a simple labor dispute. The two major trade unions are also renegotiating. After all, this is a capital game, and the amount of capital involved is huge. It will take time. Mario nodded. He didn't understand Hollywood himself. Simon Pike, as the current upstart, was rich. Of course he had to take good care of him for supporting him so much. One of the Democratic Party's candidates, Mario, of course, can't compare to Hillary's network in Hollywood. Stars are very important for canvassing votes, but to get stars to support themselves, you can get movies like David Griffin and Simon Pike. The support of the company owner is very important, especially the boss of a powerful film company like Xinghai Pictures. Hillary has Harvey Weinstein of Weinstein Pictures to protect her in Hollywood. Although Mario has no interest in Hollywood, he has a huge interest in Hollywood. Campaign finance is still very interesting. Chapter 144 Is Victoria an Amp Secret Angel? David Griffin's status in the music industry is very high, so there are many singers who come to the fundraising dinner. Simon didn't know whether the star singers came here to support or to expand their contacts. Fundraising dinners raise money through tickets, seats, item auctions, and then the shortest speeches. Hey, Jennifer, I didn't expect to meet you here. Simon saw Jennifer Smith, whom she hadn't seen for a long time, and she also came here for the dinner. Mr. Simon Pike. Jennifer Smith's eyes widened in surprise. It had indeed been several years. Just call me Simon. Simon smiled. Jennifer Smith should have come to expand her network. After all, although Gossip Girl was broadcast, Queen Bee's popularity is not that high. Jennifer Smith nodded. Since 26 Dresses is about to be released recently, of course, as an important supporting role, she has to help promote the movie. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to play a role. Jennifer Smith is sincerely grateful, but she didn't expect that the few days spent together would actually lead to a career start. Simon smiled, recalling the beginning, but also embarrassed, said with a smile, the Chinese have a saying of fate. I think it is very reasonable. Jennifer Smith also laughed. You always talked about the cultural traditions in China, and now you still like to study Chinese culture so much? Perhaps, as Simon said, people have 5,000 years of cultural accumulation, and there are too many things that can be used. If you learn something, you will succeed faster. Now seeing the small screenwriter on the set become the upper-level figure in Hollywood, Jennifer Smith feels too deeply. By the way, are you also paying attention to this U.S. presidential election? Simon looked around and asked again. Jennifer Smith shook her head and smiled. My parents are German immigrants, and I was born in the United States. In fact, I don't know much about American politics, but as an American, the stronger the United States, the better. Furthermore, our whole family also supports the Democratic Party. I also attended the fundraising dinner of another Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton, before, Jennifer Smith said with a smile. The agent arranged it. Simon nodded. An old-fashioned female politician, a black candidate, and a pig can hold the position of the President of the United States. When Simon thinks of the political inclinations of future Hollywood movies, the black political issue comes to a screeching halt. Of course, it has a lot to do with being the president. Universal medical insurance. The ones who benefit the most are not the black people in the United States. It is human nature for a black president to elevate the status of black people. Simon's eyes flicked to Morgan Freeman, who was talking to an absolute Hollywood gold supporting role. Another character who has been molesting women on set for many years. Of course, Simon doesn't like that the status of black actors in Hollywood is rising too fast. Political correctness is understandable, but if it is excessive, it will be very annoying. If the situation of forcibly adding black actors in the movie is too serious, it is really uncomfortable, isn't it? Barring fundraising dinners, politicians use the funds and popularity of celebrities, and celebrities use politicians to increase their own resources. It is mutually beneficial anyway. As the collective strike of Hollywood screenwriters begins, more and more movies and TV are suspended. After less than a week, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger stepped in to mediate, and the Screenwriters Guild wanted to increase the substantial dividends in the new media channel of the film, the focus of which is of course the DVD channel. Of course, the producers' union strongly refused, because this would lead to an increase in the budget cost of the entire film and a fierce quarrel between the two sides. The 6 major film distributors and the 5 TVB networks to which they belong are the main representatives of the management and must be strong. As for MGM, DreamWorks and other second-tier echelons, of course, they also support their parent companies. Early in the morning, Simon Pike woke up with Blake Lively in his arms and looked at the girl's perfect figure, especially her long legs, and Simon rubbed it for a while. I muttered in my heart, thinking that the future Shark Beach starring Blake Lively will be completely her own figure show. Blake Lively opened his eyes, rubbed his hair, and yawned. I heard that this year's Victoria's Secret show will be held at the Kodak Theater. The Victoria's Secret show? The Kodak Theater? Aren't they always held in New York? Simon didn't pay much attention. It was held in New York before. The year before last seemed to be cancelled because of Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson's chess show in the Super Bowl. Last year, the Victoria's Secret show was held in several major cities in the United States. Catwalk parties, maybe last year. It's very hot in Los Angeles, and it's scheduled to be held in Los Angeles this year. Blake Lively has always been concerned about the Victoria's Secret show, so that's the case. When are they held? Simon asked, and the Victoria's Secret show has never been seen once. The day after tomorrow, the 14th. Blake Lively responded quickly. Victoria Beckham's Spice Girls will be performing live. Well, let's go see this year's Victoria's Secret show together, Simon said, kissing the girl on the face and getting up from the bed. Since David Beckham joined the Los Angeles Galaxy, the exposure in all aspects has not stopped for a moment. Shooting commercials, attending business receptions, attending Hollywood star receptions, and even attending movie premieres. After arriving at Xinghe Film's own offices in Burbank, Simon asked Laura Collins to take care of himself. Schedule the day after tomorrow to enjoy the performances of the Victoria's Secret show boss, Sony and MGM 007. Quantum of Solace seems to be shutting down, Laura Collins reports. So, because of the writers' strike? Simon smiled, remembering that Quantum of Solace followed a story of Casino Royale, because Fleming's novel was finished, and it was entirely up to the screenwriters to adapt it. Laura Collins nodded and continued, Sony is not only Quantum of Solace, but another Angels and Demons seems to be suspended. Angels and Demons is the prequel to the Da Vinci Code novel. Simon smiled. Sony's 2 previous Ace movies have now been suspended due to a screenwriter strike. However, Simon remembers that 007, Quantum of Solace has not been postponed. It will still be released next year, but Angels and Demons has been postponed to 2009. It seems that the impact of the screenwriter's strike on the film company is reflected. Let's quarrel. Simon hopes that it will last longer, and there will be more time to acquire the film distribution company. Chapter 145 I Want to Get to Know You. On 11.14, the Kodak Theater on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was very lively. The appearance of the Victoria's Secret angels attracted the attention of most people, of course, mainly male eyes. Although the weather in Los Angeles in November is also lower, it is definitely much warmer than New York. Victoria's Secret angels should be more in Los Angeles. After all, they only wear underwear. When Simon Pike brought Blake Lively to the Kodak Theater, there were already a lot of people in it. Sure enough, it's a show that men all over the world like to watch, Blake Lively said with a smile. Looking around, there are a lot of men. Oh, it's normal. Simon glanced around. There were many Hollywood celebrities. Oh, they're all angel faces, but devil figures. Simon, do you know a Victoria's Secret supermodel? Blake Lively joked. Simon shook his head and said, I have seen Heidi Klum at some cocktail parties. I know Heidi Klum. She is the producer and host of Runaway, and Tyra Banks is the talent show the host and executive producer of America's Next Top Model. And as for the first supermodel named Gisele Bündchen, I've seen it too. Gisele Bündchen has been in a relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio for a while, isn't it? But Zia Lizzie changes his supermodel girlfriend faster than changing clothes. There are already a lot of exposures. As for no exposure, that's definitely more. Gisele Bündchen left Victoria's Secret last year, but Heidi Klum is here, and the older generation of supermodels. Blake Lively seems to know something about Victoria's Secret. It seems to be the same. Heidi Klum is indeed a little older. After all, she is married and has children. Simon just took a fancy to the show Cheyenne Kyojiazi developed by her, and the ratings are still good. Now, when screenwriters are on strike, and I don't know how long it will last, it's not all kinds of talk shows and reality shows that save the scene on TV. The reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, produced by Xinghai Pictures, is about to be broadcast on TV. Entertainment channels are still very important with the stage lights on. The 2007 Victoria's Secret lingerie show finally begins. The bodies of the Victoria's Secret angels are really good, sexy and beautiful. There are still a lot of big names watching this show, and they are all playboys, such as Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, Hollywood superstar Leonardo DiCaprio, and so on. Hello, Mr. Simon Pike, I'm Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria, the star of Desperate Housewives, sitting next to Simon. Hello. Simon also greeted with a smile. Eva Longoria is still good at 32 years old. She became famous in Desperate Housewives in 2005, and this year she married Spurs star Tony Parker. Mr. Pike must have been dabbling in fashion, otherwise, how could he make a movie like The Devil Wears Prada? Eva Longoria laughed. Oh, fortunately, I am interested in many aspects, such as sports, football, and basketball. I like them all. Yeah, if there's a chance, Mr. Pike could go to San Antonio, which has one of the best teams in the NBA. Eva Longoria said, of course, referring to her husband's Spurs. Simon nodded, and Eva Longoria also knew how to watch words and expressions, and turned to watch the performance. This time on the Victoria's Secret show, there are still a few supermodels that Simon knows, not Heidi Klum, but also Brazilian supermodels Adriana Lima and Alessandra Ambrosio. Simon, I know, just never met. Brazil is really a country that produces beautiful models. And the hot South American supermodels are producing one after another. Suddenly, a round-faced model caught Simon's interest. Miranda Kerr. Blake Lively looked at Simon's eyes straight and explained, she is the Australian model Miranda Kerr who participated in Victoria's Secret last year, and she is very popular. Oh, I think she's a bit special. Baby fat faces are rare in Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret pursuit of thinness is beauty. Of course Simon knew Miranda Kerr, and now he must not know the elf Prince Orlando Bloom. During the performance of the Spice Girls, Simon also saw the vivid expression of David Beckham under the stage. Football, music, fashion. It looks like David Beckham is a good choice to come to America. Simon has seen billowing dollars pouring into his family with so many Victoria's Secret angels. Adriana Lima and Alessandra Ambrosio are what Simon thinks is good. Samba girls are really popular after the Angels show. Of course it's party time. The Kodak Theater was originally used as the venue for the Oscars, and the third floor is a grand ballroom. What is Simon Parker's identity? Of course, he is an important guest invited. Sitting on the lounge sofa in the banquet hall, Simon found that the Victoria's Secret angels were not there, and he must have gone to change his clothes. However, Hollywood has never been short of handsome men and beautiful women, all kinds of men in black suits and women in local dresses. After a while, Eva Longoria came to Simon and said a few words. David Beckham and his wife Victoria introduced each other. Simon was a little surprised. The Beckhams want to know themselves, you know them? Simon was also surprised how Eva Longoria knew the Beckhams. Eva Longoria explained with a smile, before and Victoria met at a party and became friends, maybe we all have something to do with sports. Simon nodded. Could it be because they both married athlete husbands? Miss Blake Lively, your performance in Gossip Girl is really good, Eva Longoria also praised. Anyway, Gossip Girl is similar to the youth version of Desperate Housewives. Ms. Longoria, your image in Desperate Housewives is deeply rooted in people's hearts, the ratings are high, and the movie version is also very successful. Blake Lively certainly can't match his current fame. Mature beauty. Eva Longoria. Okay, I'm going to introduce the Beckhams to you. Eva Longoria laughed. I am also a little curious to know the world's famous football players. Simon said, and he was born in the Premier League, the former captain of the England national team and Manchester United Premier League. Wait for me. Chapter 146 Business Couple. This is Simon Pike of Star C Entertainment and. Before Eva Longoria finished speaking, Victoria responded first. Blake Lively, Queen S. I'm also very happy to meet you. The world civilization. David Beckham and the Victoria couple. Simon also smiled and shook hands with the Beckham couple. We are also very happy to meet you. Los Angeles is the entertainment capital of the world, and Zinghay Pictures is also very famous. David Beckham said in his Drake-like voice. Okay, let's sit there and have a drink, Eva Longoria suggested with a smile. The five immediately found a quieter place to chat. Some wanted to enter the football world, while others wanted to take the express train of Hollywood to expand their careers. In short, it is dry wood and fire, and it just hits it off. The three women can be said to be related to the fashion circle. Desperate Housewives and Gossip Girl are basically commercials for big-name clothing. Victoria has registered her own fashion brand and designed it herself. By the way, David, after Manchester United was acquired by the Glazer brothers, they were the Premier League champions again last season. It seems to be developing very well. Simon laughed. Alice, I love Manchester United very much. I am also happy to see Manchester United's stable performance. It's just that Manchester United's hide that when it was acquired is not a good thing. David Beckham, as the golden generation of Manchester United in 1992, still has deep feelings. The current situation of the Premier League is still a bit interesting. After Chelsea was acquired, they achieved remarkable results under the gold dollar offensive. Manchester United, Liverpool and Manchester City were also acquired by foreign investors, Simon said meaningfully. Liverpool was also learned from Manchester United by two American businessmen. In the same model as a debt acquisition, Manchester City was acquired by Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. Of course, it will be acquired again by the UAE consortium soon. David Beckham smiled. Of course, he could hear what Simon meant, and he was also interested in Premier League clubs after Manchester United and Liverpool. There are indeed many American businessmen who are interested in Premier League clubs. Simon, you love football, unlike them. David Beckham was also surprised that a Hollywood studio owner would be interested in the Premier League. Yes, it's not Rupert Murdoch who owned Sky back then. Rupert Murdoch's attempt to acquire Manchester United was unsuccessful. First, it was because of capital controls. After all, it was in 1996. Second, Sky TV, a subsidiary of News Corporation, was a broadcaster of the Premier League, which involved anti-monopoly. By the way, how does life in Los Angeles compare to England or Spain? Simon changed the subject. Very good, Victoria and the kids love it here, David Beckham said, glancing at his wife, who was chatting with Blake Lively and Eva Longoria. Simon smiled. The three sons of the Beckham family. I don't know how disabled the famous eldest son of waste material is now. After a while, Simon Pike took Blake Lively to the balcony outside the banquet hall to blow the air. Simon, Victoria just introduced you to those Victoria's Secret angels. It seems inappropriate for me to be around you. Blake Lively said jokingly. The way they look at you is so charming. Simon smiled and said, the profession of modeling is a youth meal. In the future, they will either develop in the direction of fashion or in the direction of film and television, and vase roles are also needed in the film. However, I did meet Adriana Lima, Alessandra Ambrosio, Miranda Kerr and others just now, and now how many people are the focus of Victoria's Secret cultivation? Looks like Gisele Bündchen has a cameo in The Devil Wears Prada. Is there a Victoria's Secret angel cameo in 26 Dresses? Blake Lively asked. Simon shook his head and said, how do I know this? The idea of the movie is mine, and other aspects are left to the executive producer and director. The screenwriter is the one who adapted The Devil of Fashion. Besides, If Simon hadn't gone to New York to inspect the filming set of The Devil Wears Prada, which happened to be the scene of Gisele Bündchen, I wouldn't have known that there was Gisele Bündchen in the movie Simon. It seems that the David Beckham couple and the Tom Cruise couple have a good relationship. Blake Lively also saw it from the news. The news of the world's top male stars and top players certainly has a market. David Beckham's popularity is even higher. He came to Los Angeles from Madrid, Spain, and has attracted the attention of many people all over the world. In terms of commercial value development, he is also the only one among athletes, Simon said. After speaking, he looked at the sky and continued, however, he is getting older, and in order to develop better commercial value, what is better than breaking into the Hollywood circle, and the exposure will not be less. Victoria was originally a singer and a person in the entertainment industry. Very clear, Simon actually admires Victoria, a woman who has developed Beckham's business to the extreme. Los Angeles Entertainment Circle and New York Fashion Circle on the New World are both correct. So do you think David Beckham will be in the movie business? Blake Lively asked up, who knows? It's definitely possible to make cameos, or some biographical films. Simon didn't care much about Beckham, and he was a pair of egoistic people anyway. However, Simon has a deeper understanding of the Premier League through his communication with David Beckham. Hey, that's Leonardo DiCaprio. Blake Lively saw the boy downstairs preparing to leave with a supermodel. He said. Simon looked at it and smiled. Sure enough, I only like supermodels. The Victoria's Secret angels don't know how many people have ruined their hands. Immediately looked up at Blake Lively. It seems that Leonardo DiCaprio will also date Blake Lively for a month or two in the future. What's wrong? Blake Lively asked, looking at himself like that. It's nothing. I'm just thinking that there is no shortage of women in Hollywood's male stars, Simon said and looked at the direction of Zhao Lizzie's departure. This guy can indeed be a supermodel a month girlfriend. After Blake Lively approached, he hugged Simon Parker's arm intimately, and said helplessly, no matter how good they are better than you. The current Simon Parker is not comparable to any star. He is not only young and handsome, but also rich in gold. Chapter 147 Perfect Ending. Produced by Xinghai Pictures and released by 20th Century Fox, 26 Dresses premiered in New York on 11.18. So what if the screenwriters strike? The projects that have been prepared will be released when they should be released, and those that should be filmed will continue to be filmed. Different from the star-studded The Queen Wears Prada, 26 Dresses is a little dim, and the director and actors are not as famous as The Queen Wears Prada. Fortunately, there are old friends such as Nicole Kidman and Anne Hathaway, and the publicity also uses The Queen Wears Prada companion as a stunt, and Emily Blunt is also the original The Queen Wears Prada. The actor in can also be regarded as a propaganda point, and Emily Blunt was recently one of the leading actresses in Nicole Kidman's low-budget independent film Sunshine Wash. Nicole Kidman has been under a bit of pressure recently. Deadly Visit has hit the street. Next month's Golden Compass will be released, and she and Daniel Craig will be the lead. Simon, what do you think of the Golden Compass? Nicole Kidman, who was sitting beside Simon, asked calmly. Me? I haven't seen the finished film. The trailer is not bad. It focuses on children's fantasy. Look at the success of the Harry Potter series, and the novel of The Golden Compass is also an epic novel, Simon said. It can be said that you are going to hit the street with another movie, and The Golden Compass is a huge production with an investment of $170 million. If the publicity expenses are added, the funds invested by New Line Pictures will go to $300 million. Alice, my low-budget comedy Margot at the Wedding just recently came out and didn't do well. Nicole Kidman is really worried now. The comedy movie starring Jack Black. Simon couldn't say anything. The American comedian, except for Jim Carrey, whose film department was over $100 million in North America, was not very stable. You know, I'm a Hollywood box office poison now. If The Golden Compass doesn't succeed, I don't know if I'll be able to get a show in the future. Nicole Kidman is now worried about her career exhibition. Depressed mood. Don't worry, you are the best actress at the Oscars. You have gained enough popularity over the years. When you encounter good scripts, such as Cry on the Island and Moment, the word-of-mouth box office has doubled, is also very simple. Simon actually admires Nicole Kidman very much. He is really good at managing himself, and his IQ is indeed high enough. By the way, Simon, does Xinghai Pictures have any projects that are suitable for me? Nicole Kidman can't talk to Simon as much as he used to. After all, Simon is very different now. There are two scripts. One is a sports inspirational film and the other is a romantic comedy. You can look at the scripts when the time comes. They were all prepared before the writers' strike this year, Simon said of Weakness and Fake Marriage. These two film projects are to be developed next year, and the cost is not too high. Well, Nicole Kidman smiled. He had had a conflict with Harvey Weinstein before, and his resources were getting less and less. Fortunately, Simon Pike didn't forget himself. Let's promote the Golden Compass to be released first. There are not many giants like this. It seems that New Line Pictures has made a lot of money. Although Simon said this, in fact, he can already imagine that New Line will face failure, seeing people are always greedy. New Line Cinema is now a subsidiary of AOL Time Warner Group and Warner Brothers Pictures, and has its own distribution and marketing channels. The great success of the Lord of the Rings series trilogy has indeed expanded New Line Cinema. Anne Hathaway, who hasn't seen her for a long time, seems to be more and more mature and beautiful, and came to her side after being interviewed by reporters. He hugged Simon and said softly in Simon's ear, "You have been very busy recently." Oh, Simon smiled and looked at Anne Fletcher, the director of 26 Dresses, who was being interviewed by reporters. The project of Fake Marriage was also handed over to her, and she will soon be working on the next film. Filming has gone while 26 Dresses director Anne Fletcher and Emily Blunt and other co-creators were busy promoting the movie. Simon Pike was chatting with me in Anne Hathaway's Brooklyn mansion on the sofa. Simon Parker put his arms around the sexy Anne Hathaway, put down the box office data in his hand, and smiled. Opened the box office of $23 million. Anne Hathaway, wearing a silky smooth pajamas, stuck her whole body on Simon Parker's body and congratulated. The cost of the movie seems to be only $25 million, and the North American box office is definitely more than $50 million. The production cost of $25 million plus the marketing cost of $15 million. According to the evaluation of the film, although it is not as good as The Devil Wears Prada, it is still okay. It is not a problem for North America to exceed $70 million, plus overseas markets. The global box office of $150 million is almost there, Simon said, and his yearning for distribution channels became stronger and stronger. Cinema, home entertainment market, TV station, online video, etc. Every module is a benefit. Bowing his head and kissing the girl, Simon opened his mouth and said, "Annie, I've seen the film of the confused detective. Your look in the movie is so beautiful." Anne Hathaway smiled and put her mouth to Simon's ear and said, "I wore underwear and then pajamas in the movie, but now I don't have underwear." Then, Anne Hathaway slid to the ground. Simon leaned on the sofa and put his hands on the girl's head. On TV, New York Blue is playing the new business plan for the Klein District, the first phase of Atlantic Plaza, hosted by the Forest City Group Ratner Company, Simon thought while feeling the girl's service. The Forest City Group Ratner Company is a subsidiary of the Forest City Group, and Bruce Ratner is the current owner of the New Jersey Nets. The first plan was to build a commercial plaza with the center of the stadium at the expense of moving the Nets from New Jersey to Brooklyn, New York. It has already started in 2006. After all, the New York government and the real estate company co-hosted it. However, the commercial plaza construction plan involving 7 blocks needs to be dealt with many problems. The biggest problem is the problems of nearby residents and funds. Now it is a cold winter for the real estate group. Well, Anne Hathaway stood up covering her mouth, took out a tissue and wiped it, sat next to Simon, watched TV, and said a little puzzled, "What are you looking at, so fascinated, future?" he said, pulling Anne Hathaway into his arms. Chapter 148 Forest City. In December 2007, neither the Federal Reserve nor the U.S. Treasury could undo the bursting of the U.S. housing bubble. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's stock prices have fallen by half of their original value to around $35. The pale government declaration cannot save the downturn in the real estate market. Central banks' funding to save the world is still a drop in the bucket, and the volume bound by the real estate bubble is too large. Big institutions of Wall Street, shorting real estate loan companies, have begun to emerge. The Paulson Fund, the nine-headed bird fund, and a special fund under Goldman Sachs are the largest in capital. Paulson's private equity fund, in particular, currently manages more than $27 billion in assets, followed by the leveraged nine-headed bird fund. A special fund owned by Goldman Sachs has invested almost $4 billion in capital in Lower Manhattan, Tribeca neighborhood, Star Records headquarters. Simon sat in the boss chair, holding the information of the owners of the NBA Warriors and the New Jersey Nets. Golden State's majority shareholder, Chris Cohan, owns Sonic Communications, which cost $119 million to acquire 80% of the Warriors in 1995. However, Chris Cohan has no intention of selling the team. After the 8 miracles before the Warriors, they went silent again. Chris Cohan himself is not a real estate company, and this guy is not short of money now. It seems that buying the Warriors will have to wait until the guy wants to sell. Of course Simon can't wait. The owner of the New Jersey Nets is now Bruce Ratner, a member of the controlling family of Forest City Real Estate Group, who also founded Forest City Ratner Real Estate as one of the largest real estate developers in New York. Forest City has developed many projects. In 2004, Bruce Ratner spent $300 million to buy the Nets, and he planned to move the Nets to Brooklyn, New York, and built a new stadium as the Brooklyn Atlantic Plaza. The most important part of the plan. Simon picked up the phone and called Nancy Davis and asked, "Nancy, you told me earlier that the land at 68 Leonard Avenue in Tribeca is the property of the Forest City Ratner Group?" "Yes, Forest City has developed a lot of projects, and less in Manhattan, but the Times building near Times Square is the industry developed by Forest City, and the land you are looking at in Tribeca is indeed their industry. 911 it was acquired by Forest City," Nancy Davis explained over the phone recently. The Forest City Ratner Group has had a big problem financing its Atlantic Plaza plan in Brooklyn. Simon laughed. "Yes, Bruce Ratner acquired the New Jersey Nets for this project. Atlantic Plaza plans to budget $1 billion to build a commercial office, leisure and entertainment business district centered on the Nets' new home stadium. You know the current situation. Now, the New Jersey side doesn't want the Nets to leave, and the Brooklyn side resists the impact of the new project development, and they don't believe the Atlantic Plaza project will be successful until the new stadium is built," Nancy Davis continued to explain. "However, it doesn't matter. The Nets left New Jersey and came to Brooklyn without breaking Bruce Ratner, and it's not a problem for Brooklyn residents to object. After all, this project was developed with the participation of the New York City government. And the Forest City Group is in government departments are very connected and have a lot of political capital. The most important thing is capital. You are also aware of the current real estate market situation. Forest City Group itself has lost a lot of money. Attracting external funds into the Atlantic Plaza project is the most important thing," Simon pondered while listening. In September 2009, Russian billionaire Mikhail Prokhorov paid $223 million in cash and repaid $160 million in team debt, for a total of $383 million from Bruce. Ratner buys an 80% stake in the Nets and a 45% stake in the team's new stadium, Barclays Center. After the financial tsunami, it can be regarded as Mikhail Prokhorov's support for the Atlantic Plaza project, and the Russian-rich Mikhail Prokhorov also intervened in the Atlantic Terminal project, strengthening the Russian basketball system and the connection to the NBA. Just 6 years later, Mikhail Prokhorov acquired the other 20% of the Nets and the remaining 55% of Barclays Center. Prokhorov spent $1 billion. Of course, in 2015, the NBA market was not what it was in 2009. The new broadcast agreement and successful marketing are no longer the same value. Understood. Contact Bruce Ratner of Forest City Group. Xinghai Entertainment hopes to develop a complex on Leonard Street in Tribeca. Simon smiled and said, "Xinghai Entertainment intervened, or it is now in the limelight. Is the Jin's nine-headed bird fund involved?" Bruce Ratner still hasn't caught this life-saving straw. The Nets' current results are not very good. They entered the playoffs last season, but they should not be able to enter this season. Bruce Ratner is also very uncomfortable with the continuous losses from 2004 to the present. After all, they are mainly for the construction of the Atlantic Plaza project. Simon, are you just for the construction of the Xinghai building in Tribeca district? Nancy Davis felt that it was not easy. Now Forest City Group is mainly looking for investment for the Atlantic Plaza project. Simon Pike is now saying that it will be in Tribeca district. Building a new skyscraper, or in the current housing bubble, isn't that sending a message? Nancy, Nets. Forest City Group's first step in the Atlantic Plaza project is that the New Jersey Nets can successfully relocate to Brooklyn, New York. I have no interest in the Atlantic Plaza project, but I want the Nets and the new sports center. Of course, as to whether it will be called the Barclays Sports Center or not, it will depend on whether Barclays Bank's naming fee can make him satisfied. After all, it is only the initial stage, and the gymnasium has not yet started construction. Understood. In fact, Bruce Ratner has no intention of running the team. Everyone knows that the purpose is only to develop real estate projects. As long as the Nets gym is in Brooklyn, the Atlantic Plaza project can continue. The Nets management I don't think Bruce Ratner would care, Nancy Davis said. After all, what time is it? Such an important capital injection is too important for Forest City Group. Well, when the time comes, Bruce Ratner will also meet with me. It's good for you to contact me first. Simon's condition is, of course, the controlling stake of the Nets and the new stadium, 80% of course. It is impossible for the Nets and 45% of the new stadium shares. Too few. Simon is not a Russian. What basketball system needs to be established, and other aspects are not too demanding. The Nets are the first piece of Simon's sports and entertainment empire. Chapter 149. After Simon finished chatting with Nancy Davis, Berkshire's stock price, watching the stock god Buffett on the computer screen, rose from $100,000 a share in the middle of the year to more than $130,000 a share now. In the future, one share of Berkshire will be worth more than $320,000 per share, but Berkshire will definitely fall in 2009. With a financial tsunami, who can afford it? After a while, Sonia Roman came into the office. Since Taylor Swift's first album of the same name sold 5 platinum, the other 3 signed singers have also prepared their own albums after all. Signing a long-term contract with others and helping to release an album is a condition. Adele, Katy Perry and Stephanie are all preparing to release an album next year. We have a lot of work, Sonia Roman sighed. Stephanie is Gaga's name. How? Isn't Taylor Swift's second album coming out next year? Simon laughed. Taylor Swift released a holiday album this year, a single, being a concert guest, and participating in TV shows. Taylor, don't worry, she has written a lot of songs before, and she has a lot of subject matter choices for her later albums, and the producer partners have also collaborated for a long time. Sonia Roman smiled, and the other 3 will also create their own, if it would be so blessed to have someone as successful as Taylor Swift. Oh, by the way, it seems that someone is in the studio today. Who is it? These 4 female singers are currently the main contracted singers of Simon Star Records. Katy Perry, we're getting her album out in the middle of next year. She's been coming to the studio a lot lately, and Adele's album is all set, coming out early next year, and it's being heavily promoted. Gaga is busy right now writing her first album. It is estimated that it will wait until the end of the year or the second half of the year. Sonia Roman is still very responsible and knows the situation of the 4 singers very well. Go and have a look. Simon is still somewhat familiar with Sister Fruit. After all, her appearance is the most in line with her own aesthetic, isn't it? A single Katy Perry uploaded to YouTube this year was a hit and was heavily adored by top singer Madonna. Coincidentally, Star Records was also planning to release a record for Katy Perry, and everything came naturally. Katy Perry wore a light green tight sweater to fully reflect her good figure. Simon knew that Katy Perry's figure was good, but he didn't expect it to be so majestic. By the way, does Scott Pachetta, the owner of Big Machine Records, regret it now? Taylor Swift is a baby. Outside the studio, Simon smiled at Sonia Roman. Sonia Roman also responded with a smile on her face. It must be, but the Taylor Swift he discovered at the time was the company that was acquired by us before the release of the first album. If you didn't want to acquire it, it's hard for anyone to spend so much money on a record label with only one new artist. Sonia Roman has now gone from a third-rate agent to one of the top executives of Zinghe Entertainment in charge of its Xingchen record company, and everything seems to be still a dream. Zinghe Pictures films exploded one after another. This year's 3 films, Spartan 300 Warriors, No Country for Old Men and 26 Dresses, are still being released, and the North American box office has exceeded $330 million, and the global box office has exceeded $330 million. The box office has exceeded $600 million, and 26 Dresses is currently not released overseas. But how much did the 3 films cost? Add up, $115 million. In Sonia Roman's heart, she didn't know what it was like. She didn't take it too seriously when she signed Simon Parker, until the script of Juno was spotted by Nicole Kidman. It cost $80. If you buy it for $10,000, you will really pay attention to it unexpectedly. In only 3 years, the little guy who followed Pity and Pidian at the beginning has now become a rich man in Hollywood. Not to mention the accuracy of the movie, even the Star record company that is playing tickets is good. The most important thing is that his investment vision is as bright as his films. Simon, there's a lot of talk in Hollywood right now about your Hydra fund, Sonia Roman reminded. What do you mean? Simon could hear Sonia Roman's tone, which was not a good thing. We haven't chosen a distributor for our movies next year. Everyone knows that Xinghe Films must distribute it by itself. Now you make a lot of money on Wall Street, Sonia Roman didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's scary for a lot of people to have a multi-billion-dollar fortune. For a well-cited film production company owner, oh, I see. If Xinghai Pictures has a distribution channel, it will be walking on two legs. The cake in the film market is so big. If I share more, they will share less, Simon said lightly. It's better to squeeze our distribution space when Xinghai Pictures has not yet established a distribution channel, but I don't have any shortage of funds, and I also let them fight against a mouse. If they really want to fight, it will be a lose-lose result. Sonia Roman nodded, that's true, and continued, everyone knows that independent publishers are definitely our target, so many independent publishers are waiting for you now. Oh, it doesn't matter, it's certain to be targeted at some, Simon said and nodded solemnly, and continued, however, sometimes, the opportunities created by the external environment cannot be changed by the personal wishes of some film company owners. In the past few days, Xinghai Entertainment asked the bank to loan another $100 million. Now the company has enough money to do what we need to do. Sonia Roman nodded. The acquisition of Summit Entertainment's bonds has been going on for a while. Suddenly thought of something, and then said, Chris Meledand, the chairman of the animation department of 20th Century Fox that you brought to my attention, Lee resigned to create Lighting Entertainment Animation. Simon smiled. The guy finally left 20th Century Fox to set up Illumination Entertainment Animation. Contact him. Xinghai Entertainment wants to acquire Lighting Entertainment, and I will support his career in animated feature films, Simon said. After all, Chris Meledand Lee's status is far inferior after 20th Century Fox's acquisition of Blue Sky. The head of Blue Sky, Chris Wedge, has left. Minions can only be products belonging to Xinghai Entertainment, Pixar, DreamWorks Animation, and Blue Sky Animation. Xinghai Entertainment also has its own Lighting Entertainment, right? Chapter 150. Wait a minute. Simon is all too clear about the future energy of Minions. Lighting Entertainment, which stands out from the three major animation production companies, is definitely an important part of the future puzzle. New York in December is indeed too cold compared to warm Los Angeles. Star Records was originally located in Tribeca, Manhattan's XC district, not far from Wall Street, and the Nine-Headed Bird Fund was at the intersection of Wall Street and Broadway. Simon wrapped his Nizzy coat and a scarf around his neck, got out of the car and looked at the falling snow. Give me an umbrella, I want to walk through Wall Street, Simon said, heading to the Nine-Heads Fund headquarters at the end. The bodyguard quickly took out an umbrella, and then followed Simon. Not far. Wall Street, the heart of the world. Simon shook his head. In his heart, the wealth here is too much. The real estate credit loan companies represented by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were the first companies to plummet in the subprime mortgage crisis, followed by various real estate management investment funds, real estate groups, etc., hotel management, casino entertainment consumption, etc., and finally it's a full-blown financial tsunami. Wall Street is not long. Simon chose to walk slowly through the street to see if he could meet investors who jumped off the building because of investment failures. After all, there are a lot of people who committed suicide because of business failure in the newspapers now, but they didn't encounter them, and Simon's curiosity was not satisfied. As the manager of the Nine-Headed Bird Fund, Nancy Davis has recently become famous. As one of the earliest large-scale capitals in the short-selling loan market, the interest returns are of course considerable in the newspapers. Nancy Davis used the title of Queen of Wall Street. Of course, Nancy Davis knew that the person who really decided behind the scenes was actually Simon Pike himself. However, it's not bad to be a marionette, at least in terms of professional execution. Simon can't do without a professional like Nancy Davis. Our rate of return exceeds 50%, of course, the algorithm after leverage. According to the current trend, the trend of the two houses is obvious, and the final decline is definitely more than 80%, said Nancy Davis. Simon sitting opposite. As much as we fall, we will earn as much as we can, but at that time, the decline of Liang Fang will directly drop to the bottom. 80% is the minimum. Simon shook his head. It doesn't matter. The stock price of Liang Fang will eventually fall by 20 or 30 cents. After it falls to more than 90%, we will start to close our position slowly. It is estimated that it will be March or April next year. At that time, we will settle directly in US dollars. Nancy Davis nodded and then asked, I had contact with Forest City Group before, and there was a big problem with their funding, not only in Manhattan, but also in other areas of New York. If you have an idea, I believe it is not difficult. Nancy, you said that the current trend of real estate, I am entering now, will it be a little early? After all, it is still falling. Simon asked with a smile. Simon, everyone understands that when the time comes, you can fight for more, but it is indeed a little early. You should wait, and when we appear as white knights, it is the time to maximize the benefits. Nancy Davis responded, yes, you and Sonia form a negotiating team to connect with the Forest City Group. The Zinghe building project in Tribeca, the NBA Nets and the new stadium in Brooklyn is what I want, Simon said, standing up and looking out a window. These two projects are mine, and I will support their Atlantic Plaza project. The new stadium project will start construction next year. The Nets will be able to move from New Jersey to Brooklyn, New York in 2010. As for the relocation procedures, I believe it will be difficult. Don't beat Bruce Ratner. Of course, Simon can't be the bad guy. When Bruce Ratner owns the Nets, he announces that the Nets will move to New York, and then sells the team to himself. After that, the new stadium project goes on immediately. Understood? In fact, as long as the Atlantic Plaza project starts, the Nets relocation is a certainty. Nancy Davis is currently doing, is to use the lowest price in exchange for the 68 Leonard Street land in Tribeca and New Jersey. Nets and new gym project. By the way, Nancy, I need a fund now. $200 million is enough, no problem? Of course Simon needs money. Although Zinghe Entertainment has loaned another $100 million and has a debt of $400 million, the next year's project start and acquisition of distribution channels are definitely not enough, and Simon also needs to spend money to buy toys. No problem, the value of the stocks in our hands is very high, and the banks are very willing to lend. At this time, some people are willing to invest heavily, and it is too late. Nancy Davis does not think this is a matter. The current hedge fund income with more than $5 billion on the account, Simon can get a $2 billion loan at 40% of the loan amount. I know, it's just not the time yet. I'll need a lot of money at that time. I'll just wait for my notice anyway, Simon smiled. The NBA, NFL, and Premier League clubs all need funds, don't they? Soon, Simon got $200 million from the bank. The Nine-Head Fund had previously loaned $300 million, and now it is $500 million. Simon has been saving for so long, and now it's time to be generous. After $100 million has been credited into Zinghe Entertainment's account, another $100 million will be used as an expense for enjoyment, private business jets, private yachts. Simon has long needed them, and now he can finally choose them slowly at the same time. Nicole Kidman's third film this year, the big production The Golden Compass, will also be released worldwide at the end of November. The Golden Compass premiered in the UK, it will be released in some overseas countries on the 2.5th, and the release in North America will be on the 12.7th in a suite at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Manhattan, New York. Simon hugs Eva Green, who is promoting the movie The Golden Compass. The weather in the UK is not good, but Southeast Asia is good. Eva Green followed the crew to travel a lot in the past few days, and only came to the United States then. I came to Simon. The two people who haven't seen for a long time are of course Dry Wood and Fire. Simon also likes this French Gothic beauty. Hell, you're busy, let's not talk about North America, there are still places to go in Asia. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.